All right, my name is Keon Rogers or Black. I'm from Inglewood, and my thing is, back when I was like 22, I started writing, and I wanted to rap, but I stopped. I started a family, was working full time, and I don't like it like that. I rather do music. I rather do something I love to do on a daily basis. Before I worked on a 9 to 5, I did construction, so I had my own little business doing that. I can build a house from the ground up, like literally foundation, drywall, everything. But when the economy got bad, I had to go find a job. So that's where I'm at now, making decent money. So it's hard for me to pull away, but at the same time, it's not really where I want to be. So I follow you on Instagram and YouTube. I saw the video with you and Curtis the other day, and I was inspired, bro. And then you said you was coming to LA. I'm like, what? I gotta go. So I'm here for that reason. But at the end of the day, I want to try to pull away from the traditional 9 to 5 to do something to help, like you're helping us, and I want to do something to help. I'll look at it like I can help the world, like with writing, or bringing up somebody that can write something to spark something good in these youngsters that's out here doing ignorant stuff. But anyway, that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. That's always a good cause. I'm not. Are the mics recording and everything? Okay, it's an awesome cause because again, personally, this trip cost me like $15,000 total. That's the flight, the hotel, the everything else. And I wouldn't be able to do good if it weren't for earning money. So always keep that philosophy that you earning money is a positive thing. You can do good with that, and it requires money. So we're going to be breaking a lot of myths, a lot of philosophies, a lot of things we were taught growing up under our parents, and hopefully just you know give you the polar opposite so that you can have options to think. So, Ashley, what are you going to say?
Yeah. My name's Ashley. I'm from Inglewood too, so cool, cool. But yeah, I'm a singer songwriter. Interested in producing, and so I'm still getting my feet wet. But yeah, I'm here to learn and to yeah meet other producers and kind of just figure out a little bit more about how the industry works. So yeah.
Doing introductions?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
For those who don't know.
Okay, cool. My name is Jalen. I'm a music producer, songwriter, just musician. Definitely here to learn, to get feedback for how to improve in my music production, helpful advice in how to be successful in the music industry, and to just learn from other people who are professionals who've been doing this for a long time, and just be around a great community of people who enjoy music and want to pursue their passion.
What's up, y'all? My name is Gerard Cade. I'm from Houston, Texas. Don't really have very much experience per se in music producing. I've just started probably about 6 or 7 months ago. And like Black, I'm working a 9 to 5, but I have so much passion for music that I want to actually make my passion something that generates money and whatever else for me. And I'm just here to like just meet people who have the same passion I have and pick up whatever gems on the way. Whether it's wisdom or instructions or whatever, man. I'm here for whatever. So
Down for whatever. No, I got you.
My name is John. I'm a musician. I'm 18, and I never want to have a 9 to 5 job.
That's a that's a precise way to say it. Very concise to the point. That's how you need to be, man. Awesome. I just want everybody in the room to be familiar. They want to put people on the spot.
So hey everyone, my name is Derek. I'm from Santa Clarita, and I'm here because I learned music production from BusyWorks Beats. That's how I started. He's got all the basics for FL Studio. So, when I saw there was an event just 2 hours away from me, I took the opportunity and came. So I'm glad I came. I had a great time yesterday and the day before. I learned a lot. So I'm happy to be here, and it's great meeting everybody. And yeah, so
I could I could tell he had a super positive mindset. I just want to say this to everybody else. On his Instagram stories, he does like daily vlog, inspirational things that he learned every single day. And I can tell that mindset change of just focusing on positivity led you to take that leap of faith, which led to more positivity. Yeah. So the fact that you're taking your mind and controlling it rather than letting it go down that negative path, which is the easiest way we all take. And again, I'm being long-winded, but that it takes strength to do that. So I appreciate even seeing you do that.
Hey everybody, my name is Puneet and I'm from Canada. Me and one of my best friends are starting a production company together. We love music, trying to make it our life thing. And I'm here to learn and grow, just like everybody here. I'm here basically because of Busy Works. Like your tutorials have basically changed my life, in a sense, and shaped the music. And I've learned a lot. So I came here with the hopes of, just learning more and just growing, like continuing on that journey.
I wish everybody was here yesterday to hear your song. That you could just tell he was smiling while he was recording. It's nuts, man. Crazy.
What's up, everybody? My name is Daryl. I am a hip hop artist from the Inland Empire. I am honestly here to support a friend of mine here. He told me about this seminar, so it's actually my first time hearing about you, Busy Work Beats. But I know that you probably do some really good stuff. I know of Curtis King, friends of mine in Corona. They praise highly of you, and I listened to some of your videos and was inspired by some of your stuff too. I'm a positive artist, so I'm mainly focused on inspirational stuff, uplifting children, the young generation in general, as far as hip hop, because it's what's needed in the community and in general. So, yeah.
And your friend is Panit, so you only he could hang around positive people.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
no other equation.
Exactly.
So it is true. Who you hang around with is who you are. I believe in that. So I guess you ready to get it rolling? There's no structure to any of this. I wanted to introduce our panel for the new film. We got everything rolling, Jay? Yep. Good. Oh, you're on live? It's a good idea. I never thought of that. But again, the goal here is we might get a little businessy. I'm probably the most businessy focused person up here. Maybe Curtis King as well. These guys are very playful and giving you their experience raw. So, if I'm too serious, our brothers will balance it out. But
you two are like the perfect set of bookends. For you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two business books on the end and the comedies in the middle. I like that. That's a nice setup.
I never thought of it that way. So as they're setting up, we got our brother to the right, man. Firstly, thank you for coming out.
Well, thank you
Looking
for having
fresh, crisp haircut and
Come on
everything.
now.
Hit the barbershop.
Don't nobody want to listen to somebody. I'm looking all You should have saw
That
me 2 days
is
ago.
crispy, son.
You just saw me 2 days ago. You'd have been like, I don't want to listen to no advice from you, Curtis. But definitely appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you inviting me. For those that don't know, my name is Curtis King. I feel like I've done this 1,000,000 times in videos. It's so crazy being in front of people to do this now. But my name is Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com. I'm sure as soon as I say that, people are like, I've heard that before. But for the majority of my career, I've been a music producer as well as an artist. I've had the opportunity to produce for artists like Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, E40, Murs, and that was the first 10 years. But I really feel like my career didn't start until, I say, 2011, when I decided that when life got extremely crazy, that I was going to put my beats up for licensing or for leasing. And at the time, you had to understand I came from a tradition or an industry that was like, you don't do that. That's cheapening your craft. Like, what are you doing? And I was taking advice from people who were just as broke as me, but I didn't know that. And I was taking advice from people who, hadn't seen a business of their own. And I come from a tradition where my pops owned his own photo lab in Compton. That's what I came up seeing, was the entrepreneurial spirit in him. My pops had his photo adjusting company that, insurance company that he used to have. And not till something sparked where life was not making sense. It wasn't adding up. It was like my career was a jetpack flying in the sky, and everybody was like, man, you produced for this person. You performed at this festival. And I had to be honest with him. That jetpack is on E. The gas is getting ready to fall out anytime. And so life got crazy. Not to be too long-winded, but life got crazy. And when I made the decision to say, you know what, I got to go aggressively against the herd, aggressively against the traditional way of doing things, did it open up, even the relationship that I know with Game. Like, that would only open up because I decided, you know what, we're in a genre where the idea of teaching is generally associated with people who are over the hill. That's how the traditional thinking is. Even though it's the most backwards thing in the world, it's associated with you start teaching once you can't do anymore, right? And it couldn't be further from the truth. And I had a few eye-opening experiences. One being when I started studying a lot of my favorite entrepreneurs, I started realizing almost 95% of them, one of their streams of income was teaching. So if it's somebody that was a multi-millionaire off of a tech, off of some kind of software, that software is there to teach you, right? Seeing that opened up my eyes, and then it spawned the next phase of my career, which puts me here today, where every single week, you've seen content from me for the last 3 years of just sharing my experiences, sharing my information, sharing things that people that I looked at as big brother to me earlier on didn't share with me, because it was their tradition not to, you don't give your secrets. The game is to be told and not to be sold. Now, I knew it was a pimp that said that. When I found that out in my later years, I was like, that doesn't apply to me anymore at all. But when I saw that, just to kind of shorten it up right now, but when I saw that, it sparked the person that many people know me today as the man of value, the giver of value. When I understood that giving is literally the prerequisite to whatever success you want to have. You want to be a millionaire? Find something that 1 million people are willing to pay $1 for. You know what I mean? Like that concept, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I can share that can be of value to the people, not just in my community, but the people around me that I see are being underserviced. So in a very long-winded, I apologize way, that kind of brings it to a microcosm.
I apologize way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm next. How many people were here yesterday? Raise your hand. Okay, how many people were here the day before that? Raise your hand. All right, now we got a little crowd participation. Y'all need to liven up a little bit. Loosen up. Come on, loosen up a little bit. So for those of you that haven't been here in the last 2 days, because I've been here since Thursday, I'm Sound Oracle. I'm a sound designer, most notably the sound designer for Timbaland and Polo the Don. I'm a producer. I've worked on projects with Jay-Z, Justin Timberlake, Beyonce, Gary Vaynerchuk, Christina Aguilera, 50 Cent. Anyway, I'm also a podcast host. This is my co-host here, Young Trizza. We do Unquantized podcast every Friday. I'm a blogger, blah, blah, blah. Most importantly, I'm a kid from Virginia that loved music so much that I grew into a man from Virginia that just loves music. But my new addiction for the last 2-3 years is just giving back to the producer community, because when we were coming up, as Curtis pointed out, people weren't sharing secrets. The internet was not popping when I first came up, so I was out there looking for answers, just like a lot of you are today. And our service to you is we're willing to answer those questions. As a matter of fact, on our podcast every Friday, all we do is answer producer questions, because that's a resource that is greatly valued and a lot of people aren't given. So any questions that you have during this panel, ask away. This is your prime opportunity. All these people are leaders. All these people are kings in their industry. We're all from different walks of life, but we're all tied together through one common thing, and that is music. If you love music, raise your hand. We rocking. That's what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to be short with it. I'm going to pass it over to my man, Trizza.
Hi. Well, what's going on? I'm Trizza, a.k.a. Trizza Flock of Flame. I got a bunch of AKAs that I just don't remember right now.
Triz Khalifa.
Rick Snare.
Looper Vandross, I like to call myself.
Nice. Loopy Fiasco?
Loopy Fiasco, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm a DJ, producer. I've worked with Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, Rico Love. Got a bunch of records on the way, Been trying to figure it out, navigating through this music industry for a couple years now. Started doing the podcast with him. And basically what he said, it's so much misinformation out there. We kind of wanted to start giving people honest opinions on stuff. Because a lot of stuff you see online is not how this stuff works, you know what I mean? And so yeah, we just want to start giving value, make content, and just kind of, preach what's going on, you know what I mean? Young Diego.
And turn up in the process.
What's going on? My name is Diego Av. I'm a music producer from LA, originally from Miami. Just moved out here like 2 years ago, actually. I've done a bunch of records. I don't want to put like all my stuff out there, but like stuff with Chris Brown, Jeremiah. I won a couple Latin Grammys. I'm just working every day. I figure I'm someone that's been in the business long enough that maybe I can help out any questions you guys have. So just interrupt anytime. Be like, yo, what's, I got you guys. We're good. We're here to learn. Make sure you guys are straight.
Awesome. I can say to Diego, we just met, maybe a day ago. A Diego. We met a Diego.
Superbar.
And he's just an awesome, genuine person to the core. Super sincere. Again, he shocked me yesterday when you came and just delivered so much value. So I truly respect that. And that was a relationship through Trizza. Yeah. Through Trizza, my trust in Trizza. And in turn made me trust you, which is awesome. What's up, guys? Welcome back. There they are. We saw these guys at NAMM, just if you're curious. Now, I want you to stand up, since you just sat down, sorry. But I want you to stand up if you want to escape the time for money game, AKA employment, AKA working for somebody else. I need you to stand up if that's your goal. All right. Now, I need you to continue standing if you believe that that's possible. Okay. Awesome. So you can see that nobody sat down. Yeah. Awesome. So we're talking to the right crowd. We're talking to the choir, not the savages. So now everybody can sit down and have a cushion. Are those seats comfortable? I'm curious. I guess I'm sitting in it. I'm sitting in one. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. Kind of lean back.
The road to success is not comfortable.
Yeah. Making them sit on a bed of nails. But everybody's probably familiar. Game from busyworksbeats.com. Call me Carlin Hines, whatever you want to call me. A lot of surnames, a lot of nicknames. And my goal is to uplift the producer community at all costs. And that's why I brought in my friends here. We got Curtis King, Sound Oracle, Trizza, Diego.
Please say that.
Yeah, I'm going to say it all the time. But, our goal, there's Louis King, as a matter of fact. Here's another special guest that just snuck on in. I actually need you up here. Yeah, we got an extra seat for you to the right. This man was just performing in NAMM. What's up, brother? For the JBL you were? JBL, yeah. JBL, and he's super creative as well. So since people are more familiar with me, I'll let you introduce yourself there, brother Louis King.
Man, what's up, y'all? I'm Louis King. I'm from West LA. I rock with a couple crews that y'all might know, the Outlaws, Layla Steinberg. We go into San Quentin Prison and do music programs like hip hop and emotional literacy healing programs. And I'm doing a kind of a innovational campaign right now called The Beautiful Grind, where I'm dropping a new song every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of 2018. So it's a total of 156 songs. And doing that, and then doing another project with Timbaland's publishing company, Mosley Music. So it's a busy year. But y'all check that out.
There it is. I'm glad you used the word busy. Okay. Man, I will say, man, and when we shifted our focus in 2018, stuff started exploding. Just in the first month. It's not even February yet. I can say I got more done as far as exponential growth in this 1 month than we have in about 3 months. So, we're going to be sharing that with you so you don't have to feel stuck or feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, getting lackluster results. I've been there. You work so hard just to plateau. And you're like, why even work hard? Then you lose faith a little bit. Then it goes down. So I've seen the ups, seen the downs, and how to get back up. And our whole purpose is to show you how to go from 0 to 1. How do you take a concept and bring it into reality? So we're going to have so many perspectives here. You can see, man, it just keeps growing. Yesterday we had about, 4 or 5 people up here. Now we got 6. So I'm going to stop being so long-winded. And let's move into just the first concept of, now a lot of folks said that they want to get out of their job. So let's talk about the benefits of a job. Before we talk about the negatives and try to make it doom and gloom, what are the benefits of having a job and employment? And I have some. There are benefits, folks. So I'll pass it to anyone who's willing to speak.
I'll say this because I'm very passionate about this area. I worked at Quiznos for 4 years, okay? And it wasn't a pretty 4 years. And I'm not going to put the owner on blast, but he paid us in personal checks sometimes. You ain't supposed to do that. That's illegal. He would turn the AC off, and he would say it's broke. And then I would go find the key and turn it on. And it'd be like, really? So it works. You just didn't want to pay your bill? Okay. So that was the environment that I was in, and I had to quickly learn that, the jobs are there for a specific reason, and they're not always there for us to be in love with them, right? But then that's sort of the common thread with life. There's a lot of things you're gonna have to do to get where you want. That's gonna put you in some very uncomfortable environments. Growth requires some uncomfortable things to happen, right? When your shoes get too tight, I mean, you outgrowing your shoes, you gotta get some new shoes, you know? And I don't say that to say that you need to get a new job. What happened was when I was in that environment, what I quickly started to realize was that if I can look at this as some sort of positive, if I can find the positive in this, the fact that I'm able to pay my bills on time, the fact that I can pay my car note, I started seeing this job as less of a job and more of an angel investor. They didn't know that, right? They just wrote my name on a check and I took that check. But when I looked at that and I said, you know what, this is my angel investor. You know, for those that are not familiar, you know, angel investor is obviously somebody that they consider an angel investor because they're investing into your particular business idea. Quiznos had no idea that I was buying speakers from Walmart for my studio setup. They had no idea that I was buying, an updated Dell Tower PC because I wasn't working with a laptop at that time. You know, they had no idea that they were going to pay for a video game that changed the next 13 years of my life, which was MTV Music Generator, which I played on a PlayStation. But if you can look at your job and go in there with the attitude of, this is going to suck. It's just going to be that. This is going to happen sometimes. But this is my angel investor. And if I don't get past this stage, I will never get to sort of that heavenly stage. You know, I was listening to Les Brown the other day, and one thing he said is that, you know, the reason why we go to jobs that we hate and we kick it around people that don't necessarily like us or even like what we're doing is because known hells are better than unknown heavens, right? So in this scenario, you know what this is, but look at it as if it's still your temp job, no matter what job it is. I don't care how great it's paying. If it's not fulfilling you and making you happy, it's a temporary situation, but it's a necessity. You have to do this. I had to work that 4 years, so when I walked away, I said I'd never be back. And that literally became my gas and my fuel. And your gas and fuel is gonna always be your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you wanna become a producer? Why do you wanna become an artist? That why will be the fuel to get you through any obstacle that comes your way. And I agree with Game in that you gotta look at your job as less of an obstacle and more as a means to get to where you need to get. And so I'm thankful. The only thing I'm not thankful for myself is the fact that I didn't save at least 10% from every check and stash that away, you know, when I decided to take that leap into entrepreneurship. But I'm hopefully can spread that to you. If you're at a job right now, take 10% of that and just put that into your dream fund. Put that in something that you know, I'm not going to touch that money. That money's not going to nothing else except for the growth of this business, the growth of, you know, whatever you're trying to build. But if you go in there with that mentality, it'll change the way I was dealing with customers. That I had a show one time where I performed in front of 10,000 people. I was backing up somebody else. And the first argument I had when I went to work was about tomatoes and onions. Come back to life, son. You know what I mean? But I needed that humbling experience for me to look at that and say, okay, it's my angel investor. I'm not gonna hate on you, you know, but you are temporary. You know, but I need to have something that is my extra why that fuels me every single day when I was at that job. And you know what that was? For me, it was knowing this money is going to give me more equipment. Upgrades of the equipment is going to help me hear my music more. So it's the best way I know to address that.
Great answer. So we're talking about the benefits of a job, right? Right?
Yeah, the benefits. Yeah. Did you? I can take the mic. I don't want you to just.
You got that. But in my mind, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while since I've had a 9 to 5. And these are the benefits for me, not for other people. Okay, because that's two different lists. But the benefits for me, when I had a 9 to 5, I was able to keep my lights on 2 weeks at a time, and sometimes pretty women work there. That's it. That is it.
The head bob, the accent. Oh man. And maybe I'm long-winded as I don't know what, so I'll let you.
I mean, I don't really have that many benefits, to be honest. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I hate it, you know what I mean? But I think it's the structure. It does teach you structure. And you being an entrepreneur, you gotta understand structure. And this is something that's kind of new for me. Oracle is one of the people that kind of helped me structure stuff. I seen how he worked, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. If you buy a franchise like a Subway, you're literally just buying the structure. You know what I mean? That's really it. So I guess that's my answer. The job will teach you fundamentals of structure. Besides that, pretty much sucks.
I was lucky to have a job within the industry. So like, I started off as a engineer. So my 9 to 5 was like still in music, even though I was the waiter of the room. You just you know how it is engineering. So at least I was lucky with that. But one thing, when you get to the business side, or you get to like the entertainment, all that stuff, the hours you put in compared to a regular 9 to 5, it's like 1,000 times more hours. So it's even harder if you really, you know what I'm saying? So when I used to work at Outback. That was my first job. So I know I used to work like 12 hours, 8 hours. I was like, man, I'm dead tired. Man, now I work like 20 hours a day type. You seen it? 32 hours sometimes straight. So yeah, so it's crazy.
That's why I got coffee right now.
Right.
we been working.
Then they say
I would say just try to find if you're like working towards something, try to find a job that's kind of related at least to it somewhat, so you don't want to like go home and blow your brains up.
You know what? You bring up a valid point though, because you made me remember is that being in that environment, I was able to see somebody who was 100,000-aire, who didn't know anything about his own business. You know how much inspiration that gave me to look and say, wait a minute, you rich and you don't know what you're doing. Imagine when I get in a position to do some things. But yeah, now that reminded me, because he didn't know the difference between chili and marinara. And I was like, is this a trick question? Oh, you trying to get me on my first day, huh? You really didn't know.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's a big thing about the structure and learning how to balance things in your life. Balance what you're doing, because it's never really just going to be, or I don't know, for me, it's never going to be just only music. You always going to be balancing something. So doing that, I guess it's also discipline, like figuring out. And for me, it was also making the jump into just doing music full time was also about like, how am I going to, if I was my own boss, right? Am I putting in enough work, in what I need to get done? You know what I mean? Like when I started telling people I'm gonna do, drop 156 songs in 2018, it's like, that sound crazy, like blah, blah. But it's like, what are you going to do really to get uncomfortable to be able to do that? You know what I mean? Like, are you really are you sending out enough emails on yourself? Or, I'm lucky to have a great management team. Shouts to Big Cuz in the back, but at the same time, it's like, you got to put in your own work as well. You know what I mean? You can't just, especially like on some independent stuff where you don't have a label paying for your people that work with you. You got to put in that work yourself, And so I think, it's just kind of understanding that discipline, that if you were your own manager. And then another thing that I would add is just that depending on where you work at, if you have a job where you talk to people or you get to sell whatever, like I used to work at Edible Arrangements, and like I used to in Hollywood, and I used to just like take every opportunity to like use it like you said as a dream, a dream investor, and whenever I got those opportunities, okay, we want you to deliver to a Pitbull's manager, to I deliver to Kerry Washington, or this anything, any label, anything at all. I was gonna take my shot. I was just selling anyone, because it was like, shoot, this is what I'm doing it for. I ain't doing it for Edible Arrangement. So if they get mad that I try to, take my shot, I'm like, I'm here to take my shot. This is my destiny to be here, and I probably asked about 1,000 people plus, just like, hey, can you think you connect me, or you listen to my music or come through to this show? And then one day I delivered to WME, and the woman who I called, she was like, oh, I'm not here. I just had a baby, but I'm at my house. It's only like 5 minutes away. You think you could deliver it there? So I was like, oh, for sure, I'll deliver it. Drove up, pulled up. She's like, yeah, meet me outside. The baby, he gonna get mad if he hear anything. So I met her outside, and I was like, hey, you think I'm an artist. You think possibly we could discuss, something in business, She said, yeah, take my number down. Give me a call. We'll meet on Monday, And she actually responded to my call. I met her on Monday in WME. we had like a great meeting. She wasn't necessarily like she was a lawyer for WME, so she wasn't like didn't deal with talent directly, but she said, hey, I'm going to give you 3 people's contacts. I'm going to send an email, CC you in the email, and have them meet with you. And then what I want you to do is to go to these meetings, and I want you to ask them to, see whatever you can get from them, but also ask them to direct you to 3 other people who potentially could point you in the right direction as well. And I did that, and, it's like through meeting this person, through meeting this person, through meeting another person, I ended up meeting a lot of people, but one of them actually ended up being like someone on my team that I could really count on. We toured Europe and toured around the world. We doing we actually doing a conference at Harvard in March with this dude, so it's like, you never know, and I probably asked 1,000 people, 2,000 people before that one person connected me to someone else, because I wasn't thinking of it as like, oh man, another day at Edible Arrangements. I was just thinking of it like, shit, this could be the day I meet the person that, changed my situation for me, so always just come with it with that energy that like you doing this for the reason to better yourself in your situation, which you are trying to do, actually,
Good man. I'm going to be like, I guess, more businessy about it. But think about what employment is. Why do people invest in businesses? Why do they even hire a team? The point is they put in $1 in their business and they get 10 back. So your job is to multiply people's money. So do you want to be the multiplier of the money, or do you want your money to multiply itself? We have applications in the back for the Pyramid Club. Whoever wants to apply, come on down.
It trickles up.
No, just joking. So the more you think about yourself, you had something to say on that? The multiplying the money?
Yeah, Cash App.
Cash App, yeah.
If you put
Cash App.
150 in, you move up the pyramid.
Facts.
Just think about it, and you spoke about the pyramid. It is a structure. You have the CEO up top. This is one type of structure, not every structure. CEO up top, his core managers, they make decisions. Then they have people under them who make decisions for the people under them. So it's, do you want to be building that ladder, or do you want to create your own pyramid? It sounds like a scheme and a scam, but what I mean is, do you want to have your own destiny, or do you want to be part of somebody else's journey? Now, that doesn't mean, again, here's what a lot of people do when they get employment. They think, I'm going to work the minimum amount to get the maximum amount. The way you secure your job is actually to think the opposite. You want to give so much that your job, if they fired you, they would lose a ton of business and a ton of money and a ton of whatever. You would essentially break the business if they got rid of you. So you're doing so good that they can't get rid of you. But what do people think? I'm going to do less work so that the business struggles, so they need me, so that there's always chaos. So if you can create order from chaos, that's your ticket to securing financial futures. Now, we talked about saving 10%. What's the purpose of saving 10%? You have it for a dream fund. And the Jewish community does this pretty well. I'm sure Louis King knows, because a lot of the Jewish community. Shout out to the Shalom. And they do that to almost treat it as the money's gone. It's already gone. Don't even focus on it. It's gone. So it forces you to create more. So try this at home. It sounds kind of cheesy. Try this at home, guys. I want you to literally take a lot of money, I'd say probably the majority of your paycheck, and just put it aside and just see how comfortable you are living off of the less. You're going to be like, wow, I didn't even miss the money. So, and then it becomes a question of, okay, now that I don't miss the money, where am I putting that money? Am I putting it into waste, or am I putting it into growth? Those are the two polar opposites of money. You're either wasting it or it's growing. That's it. There's no other option, because the money sitting in the bank account is competing against inflation, which is 4%. So if you have a bank account and you have $100, every single year you're losing $4 on that $100. So you have to make that money grow. And so, without me being super long-winded, let's move into, now that we know the employment aspect, the question is, how do we begin to create our own business, and then how do we stand out? So what are your journeys in creating your own brand or business, whatever you want to consider it? I'll let everybody else speak before myself.
You got to get stingy with your time. You no longer have free time. Time away from work is no longer it's no longer free time. And I felt, when I told my mom that, when I was, because I lived with my mom when I was working at Quiznos, and I told her, I was like, she's like, you need to get some rest. And she was right. I need to get rest. I need to balance it. You got to take care of your health. Your health is your ultimate wealth, right? But you no longer have time to kick it with your homies. You no longer have, I mean, it might sound really morbid, but you no longer have time to do all the things that everybody does in their 20s, you know. And there's a lot of things that I missed out on that I had to ask myself. I said, you know, when I look at my pops, and he would always tell me about some of his friends that he would lose contact with at 17, 18, and then you look up at 34, 36, and they're still doing the same thing. And me having that perspective helped me say, you know what? I'm not missing out on nothing. Because if I look up and I'm 36, 37, doing the same thing I was doing at 19, 20, and I'm around the same people, there's going to be so much bitterness in me, and it's going to shed probably within the circle of people that I'm around. And I said, you know what? I will work like a maniac. And then my body caught up with me and was like, you got to slow it down. But literally, you know, if I worked at Quiznos, say I had a shift, and sometimes he would work as like literally 12-hour shifts. And I will come home, and you probably think like it's a sandwich job, but no, I cannot stand the smell of carbonara. I like literally get sick to think about that. But to be there and you're always on your feet, you're always moving around. I know what that feels like to come home and be like, well, I don't have anything left to give. But then the other question is, what other choice do you have? How bad do you want it? And sometimes it wasn't even so much like, I wish I can give you this magical story how I would go to work and come home and I had this vivid image about what the end thing would be, right? You know, I saw it and I didn't. There was a lot of times where I was literally fueling myself off of a whim, fueling myself off of, you know, whatever's on the other side's got to be better than this. So that literally became my fuel. So there was times where I remember I was working at Quiznos during my lunch break, and I came up with the idea, this is during the MySpace age. I came up with the idea. I said, you know what? I know HTML. I know how to make those, remember those little letters and numbers that come down? I was like, what if I offered this as a service and I just jumped on MySpace and just added a bunch of people, right? In a 25, 30-mile radius. So I worked at Quiznos 10 a.m. to about 5 p.m., came home from about, I'm not even exaggerating because I was so excited about making money, rap money, away from Quiznos, about 6 p.m. till 7 a.m. the next morning. I sit on that computer, and I was sitting up here making a new MySpace page. You know, this obviously is advice that probably can't, it probably can translate to something else today, but at that time, really for me, I didn't look at it like I was grinding. I looked at that like this is necessary for me to get where I want to get. I don't want to work at Quiznos forever, you know, and me working on that and having a specific plan, within the first week of doing that, I got my first MySpace money from a rapper in Arizona who wanted a HTML for his design. He wanted it to be like a Western theme. And I was like, okay, I'll make your Western theme. I got some tumbleweeds and all of that. And he sent me the PayPal money. That taste of money away from my job that felt independent, it almost became an addiction at that point. So really, the whole thing, the whole premise that I want to make sure that I give to you is that time that you come home, you know, Gary Vee really beats people over the head about this, about, you know, if you got time to watch a loss, you got time to watch the game. And I'm one of the biggest Laker fans you're going to find. But those highlights wrap it up for me. All right, I don't have to see every single game, especially not this season because we've been, you know, it's been kind of varied. But I don't have to see every single game. The things that I love, I can still love them, but I can love them in you know, I can love them at a different speed so that I can really get what I want to get done. You know, when I was 17, 18, I had a decision. We either gonna buy this NBA 2K3 with Allen Iverson on the cover, or we gonna get this MTV music generator for PlayStation. Me and my buddy. 17. I knew it. I said, we can play this game as long as we want. Now it's on Dreamcast, right? But it's those decisions that mean everything. So when you're coming home, and like I said, I don't want to give you the mentality that you got to grind 21/7, 24/7, but you have to be very stingy with your time if you want to get this done. It's not going to just happen because you want it bad enough. You got to actually put feet to pavement. Sit in front of the laptop and be the, you know, the lame that stays at home when all the other homies are going out. So many times I was that guy, but I had to be that guy so I could be this guy today. So, yeah.
I'll take it. All right. So we're talking about how we got to our brand, right? Or what we went through, right? So, yeah. So I feel like I tell this story a lot. So I'll try to recap it, but tell it right for the people that haven't heard it before. I'm originally from Virginia, went to college in Baltimore. Hey, yeah. So fast forward X amount of years after college, have a studio in Baltimore, super hood studio, $30 an hour, come on in, record to somebody else's beat and get the hell out. But still not making any money, terrible. In a studio, no electricity. I'm still in electricity from the business across the hall. I'm sleeping in the studio because I don't have a place to stay. I'm sleeping next to a vending machine I can't afford to eat out of. Sleeping over a pizza shop that smells good as hell, but I can't buy pizza. That type of thing. So, and then on top of that, somebody broke in the studio, stole all my stuff. So, a friend of mine that lived in Atlanta was like, yo, you should move to Atlanta. It's kind of popping out here. This is 2008. I told him he was crazy, even though I was in a terrible situation. My lifestyle at the time was what I would consider brackish. I don't know if y'all know what brackish is, but brackish fish can only live in dirty water. You know what I mean? When things are clear for them, they can't function. So for whatever reason, I was reluctant to leave. Told my girlfriend at the time about the idea of moving to Atlanta and how crazy it sounded. And she was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go. And I'm like, not you. I wasn't going, and I don't want you to want to go. But now she wants to go, and I'm going to be a man. I got a little pride, so I'm like, yeah, let's go. Whatever. So now, not only I have one skill, none of them are business related. I can make music. I can make good music. That's my thing. I can make really good music. But that's all I had. Now I got somebody depending on me. So I moved to another area, which is Atlanta. The plan, she get a job, I become successful at music. Even saying it now, it sounds really stupid. But we did it anyway. She was a massage therapist, got 2 jobs, Massage Envy and another one. And what I did was I found where all the studios were in Atlanta. Thank God they were all on the same strip because my car was janky as a mug. Drove up and down the strip every day, had a schedule, hit all the studios at a certain time every day because I knew the same person or the same people going to be working the front desk every day. I talked to them through the talk box. I can't come in. They don't know me from Adam. I can't get in. So I led with personality to let them know I'm cool. Basically, I'm not a creep that's going to come in and shoot everybody. You know what I mean? So after a while of that, they started to realize this dude is cool or he's annoying the hell out of me. So let me just let him on in here. And they start listening to my music. And then they liked it. The guy at the front desk would play it for the assistant engineer, play it for the engineers. Word started to spread. One day, I got a call to meet with Polo the Don. And I went through. Dark and stormy night. You know how the story goes. It's raining. I'm waiting outside for 2 hours for Polo. He finally agrees to see me. He hears the beats. He's like, man, these beats are fire. You can cut a record with Rich Boy tonight. This is Rich Boy time. I'm like, bet, let's go. But he's like, yo, these sounds are crazy. Where you get these sounds and these samples and all that stuff? And I'm like, oh, what, these? Because I came out here to be a producer. I didn't even know what a sound designer was, to be honest with you. And he's like, yo, can you do that for me? And I'm like, sure. I'm still like, I don't know why you want this stuff. You Polo the Don, whatever. But yeah, I could do that for you. So I cut a record, cut 2 records of Rich Boy that night. Got on with Polo. Greatest thing, one of the greatest feelings of my life. He was like, how much do you want? I had a number in my head that I thought was so astronomical. Keep in mind, I'm coming from a place I couldn't make $100, right? So I told him the number. He's like, bet. Man, I like to pass the hell out, right? But I'm cool. Y'all can tell by the way I'm sitting here. I'm cool, right? So anyway, Polo ends up going to L.A. He was signing Inscope at the time. And I'm telling the story one day. He's like, you got to tell my man this story. We go in the kitchen. His man is Timberland. And I'm like, all right, bet. Now I'm about to pass out again for the second time in like 3 months. I'm like, I need to go to the doctor. But, long story medium, what happened is Tim comes in the studio. He hears how the music is playing out. He knows it's a change. And he's like, yo, Lo, what's popping with this music? What's the difference? And he's like, yo, it's this guy right here. So Tim calls me that night, he's like, I don't know what you're doing for Polo. I don't know how you do it, but I need you to do this for me. I'm like, bet. So I went from to what I thought was here, because now keep in mind, this is really just the beginning. It sounds like a success story, but it's really just the beginning. But saying all that to say, that is how I started to build my brand, and it was through an act of decisiveness that was not totally mine, I'll be honest with you, but the discipline aspect of it was mine. And through that discipline, and someone else believing me, and someone else depending on me, is how I grew my brand and became who I am today.
Hey. I guess I'll talk about, I don't think I ever really talked about this. Ooh. So when I first sat down, I told you I did a record with Justin Bieber, right? The best and worst thing that ever happened to me, right? So I had been working in the industry for a long time, you know, just trying to figure it out, doing little projects, little side hustle, get $1,000 here, make a beat, do little sessions. So this girl who is Miss Canada, crazy enough, she was about to be an artist. And I'm like, all right, cool. So this guy pays me to produce for her. So we in Colorado in the mountains, and I'm away for a month. So I'm not really on the internet, nothing like this, right? I get to LA, and I'm sitting there, and I'm checking my Twitter, and I have like 200 tweets. And I'm just like, yo, this is mad wow. Like, why the hell I got 200 tweets? And then somebody's like, Sean Kingston, Justin Bieber, at Trizza. I was like, what dummy put this acapella on my beat? I didn't think it was real. So I keep getting it, and I keep getting it. And I'm like, yo, they dropped the record, right? So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I go to Hollywood Boulevard with a bottle of wine, I promise you, and a wife beater, and I'm just running down screaming like, yes, I'm rich. Because I think I made it. You know what I mean? I'm like, Justin Bieber, I've made it, right? That was right around the time Sean Kingston got in an accident with a jet ski. So they were about to shoot a video for it, canceled it. The song was about to roll out, canceled it, because Sean Kingston damn near died. So it went from me being like, oh, I'm about to be super rich, this is about to be great, to what the hell do I do? You get what I'm saying? But it made me really understand this business, because this business is very fickle. Like, you do stuff now, it's a hurry up to wait. You know what I mean? I don't know when my next check is coming. We got placements. We don't know when this check is coming. You know what I'm saying? It's due, but we don't know when it's coming. You know what I'm saying?
You know that.
And me trying to keep up with all this stuff, I would fall behind in my bills and all this stuff, because I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna pay me my check. It don't work like that. So it made me really get on my business and made me really understand I can't depend on this. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna look out for me like I'm gonna look out for me. So I had to start structuring stuff like that. So that's kind of where I came into the producer kit. That's kind of when I started coming into working with him and doing these other things that would made the structure a little bit better. And I feel like I'm still figuring it out, but this is the most sane I felt doing the music thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing placement stuff, but I'm not chasing it as much. It's really on my time. If I want to do it, I do it. You get what I'm saying? So for you guys, just, don't let this industry get to you, because it's crazy. And please structure your business. You know, this is the music business. People forget the business part a whole lot. You know what I mean? People just think I'm gonna make beats and I'm gonna get signed. Getting signed is not that great. It's a loan. You get what I'm saying? It's like going to the bank and taking out a bunch of money. You have to pay it back. It's literally like, it's not as glamorous as people think it is. And it's a lot that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Checks that you get from, like, if it's on a mixtape, that doesn't count towards your deal. If it's on an EP, that don't count towards your deal.
What about collabs? Does that count?
Oh, they're gonna really cut your joint down. What about overseas? Oh, you already know. That ain't gonna count either.
Wait a minute. What about the records you can't announce and you got to tell your friends? They like, oh, what you been working on? And it's like, I can't really speak on.
Can't really tell it. He cut it, but I don't want to say it because I don't know if it's gonna come out. If we could talk about all the records that got cut, oh, you would think our resume is crazy.
Unreleased records from all your favorite artists.
So just because an artist cuts a record don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it took me years to understand how this industry works and wrap my mind around not getting stressed out about it. Because before I would just be like, oh, I got a record with this person. I'm on. It doesn't matter. It goes away so quick. You got 2 weeks to really take advantage of a record, I say. I did a record called Jiu-Jitsu with Chris Brown on it. Maybe, I think it's been about a year now. I mean, the video came out not 6 months. I had about 2 weeks of shine off that. Nobody cared. You know what I mean? And nobody cared. That's how it is. So I have to keep that mindset up. I have to keep going. I have to keep pushing. What's next? I can't get caught up in this past stuff. I don't even like talking about the Bieber thing because it was old. And you know what I mean? That's 2011. It's 2018 now? Golly, man. Golly.
Yo, it's a super now industry. It's like, what have you done now?
Exactly.
Last year, last month.
Exactly.
That was 2 years ago? Oh, bet.
You whack. You're right. That's how it is. Like, you ain't bobbing no more.
That was 3 weeks ago? I ain't listening to that no more.
Slow-mo.
Can you imagine if your check at your job was just a day late? You sure you want to get into this? I'm just playing.
Yo, but you saying about how you said if you get a cut from an artist, it doesn't matter. There's a way to finesse that too, though. What I've been doing, and I've gotten some big places that way, is if somebody cuts just a verse on one of your tracks, man, take that verse, keep it, try to get the copy of it though, and try to pitch it to other artists with them on it. Or so you got a hook from, let's say, whoever, Sway Lee, French, whatever. Go and take that as a record and pitch it to these A&Rs like, yo, I got this already done with him on it. The feature's done. Man, plug and play. Put him on a verse, keep it for the album. That's the easiest way to do it. That's a good little finesse right there.
You mind if I add on to that? When you went back on Twitter, you know how many producers I talked to that have that same situation happen where they wake up one morning, they about to eat their Fruity Loops and work on FL Studio and then get on Twitter and they realize, Chance the Rapper's rapping on one of my beats, but nobody ever called me. What happened? You know, and so what I had to develop for them was a quick action plan. You're absolutely right. There's been records that I produced for Ab-Soul where people are going nuts on Twitter about the record. Nobody knows I produced it. Why? Because the blogs are not putting it up there. Why? Because even when they're putting the records out there, nobody's thinking necessarily about the producer of the record. Even the fans are thinking, now they are because producers are becoming brands. But that's our responsibility. And when I stopped being angry at the industry, and I was angry, bro. I was angry when I started seeing records pop up, and it's like, how you not gonna credit me? And I put the snares and the kicks, and like there is no record without. But what I realized was that, okay, I am a brand. What can I do to maximize on this 2 weeks? Behind the beat video. Why? Because I'm competing with you in the SEO on YouTube. Okay? Behind the scenes of the behind the scenes video. Jump on an Insta story. You know, there's so many different things that you can do, even with the hashtags. If that song is trending, there's been records where it was trending, and then there's all this conversation that it's flowing, like literally, 30 or 40 tweets a second. If I add to that hashtag, and then I put produced by Curtis King, put my website, I'm delivering traffic now, free traffic to my website. But you got to act fast. Like there's a lot of folks that this will happen and they spend more time ranting on Twitter about somebody stealing their record than leveraging the amount of attention towards it. Because after 2 weeks, like you said, after 2 weeks, after a month, they either gonna cut you a check or move on to the next. And you're gonna be fighting, paying legal fees to try to get somebody who paid for a mixtape record. And then you sitting up here like, well, and then you might even burn some bridges if you talk too reckless on social media. So you have to be prepared for when these records happen, when these situations happen. Like, there's been times where I've known Ab-Soul before he even signed to TDE. But when he signed, he let me know that they do business different. They don't call everybody and let them know a record's coming out. Their business is their business. So even the producers, there was times where the first song I ever heard Kendrick Lamar and Ab-Soul rapping over, I didn't hear until it was uploaded on MySpace. That's the first time I heard my song, my beat, right? But knowing that, I said, okay, how can I maximize on this? Okay, I got to jump into the hashtag conversation. I got to make a behind the beat video because every time somebody searches for that song, my stuff shows up in that list as well. It may not be everybody, but I'm leveraging a lot of that traffic, and I can turn that traffic into money that I can monetize. You just got to be more strategic on it and be ready for when that does happen. It's like, okay, well, all my focus is going towards it, and I guess I better know some SEO now.
Make sure you get your production credit too, because co-production, a lot of times they won't give you your credit on the actual the artwork. and even online, they'll just say produced by whoever actually produced it. So try to stay away from that co-production stuff. Man. If you gotta get the placement, get the placement, but try to ask to get production as well, because that's so important, man. I've had my whole career, a lot of time in my career where I was getting a bunch of co-production, because I was working with a lot of heavy hitting producers who they would never give me production with them. A bunch of different producers. But yeah, like, you gotta build your brand. So try to get that production correct. That's so important. A lot of people don't even know that.
That is a fact. I went through that myself. There's a whole bunch of records you do the co-production thing, and then you see it.
It's
you
messed
see it
up,
a
bro.
lot. It's like produced by such and such. You like, what about me?
And it's a fine line.
What about me?
It's a fine line between co-production and production, because nowadays it's beats. It's not like a producer orchestrating the whole thing. That's rare nowadays. Like sometimes it just be me sending you an idea, you send it back. We both did that, bro. There's no co-production. Like I hate.
But
that
you know
word,
what? I think that's also a great point, because we have to also, as producers, understand there is a difference between how they view you. When they see you as a beat maker, you're literally the beginning of an assembly line. If you're not in that studio working on hooks with them, if you're not part of the arrangement and composition, because they'll ask for the track outs and rearrange. I've had times where I barely recognize my beat again. Like, I know that's my sounds, but they've reorganized it so that it fits in with the mode of the album. And so somebody produced my record. Even though as a beat maker, I created the skeleton of it, that's when I realized I better learn something about some studio. I better get in these studios. I better jump in here and be able to contribute. So sometimes just being in the room, like the fact that you have so much experience being in the studio, you know studio etiquette, and I learned things that they don't never teach you. Like, you know, it's kind of like with your pops or somebody you would teach you about, like, don't be thirsty in a studio situation, but you be in there and you want to take pictures with people or ask them questions, and you just be like, all right, let me just chill. I'm gonna just be quiet. And then when somebody called upon me, just work. And that's what I did in many scenarios where I'm around these Grammy-nominated, Grammy-winning producers, and I'm like, how am I in this room? I'm nominated for a Quiznos Award. What am I doing here? But what did it was the fact that I understood my place in there, but I wasn't afraid to open my mouth up. So when I'm sitting up here in a studio session and they like trying to figure out a hook, if I got a melody, why not? Why not? Because if I can present a melody that then, now you're starting to talk about that split sheet looks a little bit different now, right? We're not just talking about me giving you a beat, but I think that that's important too, is that if you have these, you said you're a songwriter as well, having these skills that complement just your beats will make you more of a force and more of a value to any studio session you're in. You'll get invited to studio sessions where they just want your energy in there. Right? But yeah, you got to know sometimes with your position, especially in the beginning, when you're submitting beats off through an email, unless you got some kind of agreement, they don't owe you anything. And I had to learn that the hard way. Until I'm in that room and we can talk some business and politics and you respect the person that's on the other end of this table, I'm just a beat maker to them.
And the producer would throw their tag on your shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's not even talk about
so you know.
Facts.
Yeah, so you will not get the credit on that.
No.
Get your credit.
Yeah, get your credit
Fight
for sure.
it.
For sure.
Be in the
Yeah.
studio.
I want to ask about that too, because I've had friends of mine who maybe you have heard of, a friend of mine named Aaron, who actually worked with Sean Kingston and some other producers, and he said that there's been producers that have been in studios with, you know, not gonna name drop, but there's like their beats, but the producer will put, you know, like so and so, like their tag on there, like so you know it's them, but it's not really their beat. Does that really happen?
Yes,
Oh, man,
all the
listen.
time.
Yeah, look at
Bro,
this. That reaction should have showed you everything right there. All these three.
I did it this week.
Right.
But
you-
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of times too, it's people who make the plays and it's people who make the music. They're not always the same person. It's a couple producers who are really big who don't touch the beats at all. Their only thing is that being a producer is they just make the plays. They know people and they put people together. You know what I mean? So it depends on the situation, because it could be a situation like that where they're like, oh, I'm gonna take this beat and I'm gonna put it with this artist and I'm gonna finesse it. So I produced the record. It's kind of weird, but it happens a lot. And really, it's kind of hard to get on without doing that joint.
You don't want to be the one that's like, yo, man, y'all changed my record, but I kind of need this opportunity.
Right, I need this
like,
look.
Because they do award, like, you don't want to be that person, but you kind of like how Gary Vee says, excuse my language, but you got to eat shit in the beginning. It's just what it's going to be. Is that they're gonna remember that too, because I remember TDE remembered that I was that young producer from Carson who, when they put out my production credits, they spelled it with one S, Curtis with one S, and I was like, yo, fam, like it's with two S's. But I appreciate having this dude named K Dot on my record, but because I did that, it got me at least a foot in the studio. That foot in the studio ended up being me not just making another beat for Ab-Soul, but I designed his album cover for Long Term too. But that opportunity wouldn't have happened if I was at the house complaining about them not putting my other S in there. So it's sometimes you're gonna like when you're in the very beginning, yeah, you're gonna have to eat shit. You're going to have to if you want to go in that particular industry. If you want to go that route, you got to play there's politics, there's levels of this, and there's so many things that, and I said it on Twitter the other day too. I said, like, so much of my career as a rapper and a producer, I had to be political. I couldn't speak the way I wanted to speak, because if I did, I'd be blackballed. And it also too was immaturity sometimes too, that if I would have spoke the way I wanted to speak, there wouldn't have been other opportunities, you know? And I had a cousin of mine tell me, he said, look, you'll get your respect when you got the juice. Then you have the opportunity to do the same thing they did to you if you want to do that, or you can change the game, but you have to learn the rules and you have to be in the game to actually change anything. You can't shoot jumpers from the bench. So he said, what side of history do you want to be on? I said, you know what? I want to be part of the history where I can say I was a contributor to this, but if I continue to keep doing it and continue to keep pursuing it, at some point it's my fault. Well, I know what the industry is. I knew the industry was cutthroat when I was 15, 16. But if I continue to keep doing it to myself, at some point that's on me. That's on me.
So the thing that Trezor was talking about, which is a very good point, and which was your question, is does that happen where big name producers take other producers and put their name on? Not only does it happen more often than you think, I call it the Uncle Ben syndrome. All right? You see the box of rice, you see Uncle Ben on the box. Uncle Ben don't make the rice, though. There are other people that make the rice. Uncle Ben put his face on the box. Uncle Ben's not a real person. You feel me? Uncle Ben is a brand. You know what I mean? So these producers that you look up to, I'm not saying look at them as less of a person, but realize they are a brand. And a brand, a sports team has one mascot. You know what I mean? That mascot ain't got nothing to do with the team. You know, that's just the face on the thing to let you know it's about the team. So think about it like that. A producer that you may admire, he's a guy or he's a person, but there's a whole world going on behind it. He's not marketing. He's not putting out ads. He's not writing ad copy. He's not sending email. He ain't doing nothing. He don't know how to upload to iTunes. You feel me? So Uncle Ben, that's Uncle Ben. And when you really want to get into this whole thing, you don't go to Uncle Ben. You find out who's making the rice, and that's who you go to.
Can I add to that too? So if I'm in a session, right, with any major artist, and let's say I'm running through a bunch of tracks, and some artists, they'll go through a ton of tracks until they don't even know what they want. And you just don't happen to have what they need. But I know young Triz over here might have sent me a pack maybe this morning. Like, you know what? That track you sent me is perfect. I'll play it. I don't care if I didn't produce it or not. And guess what? I'm gonna run the play. I'm like, yo, I'll add to it later. Who cares? Let's get this bread. That happens all the time. Like, why not? Why have an ego and say, no, it's not my beat, I'm not playing it. Man, play somebody else's stuff and get that placement. Add to it later. And just bust it down the middle with them.
That is the American way.
Bust it down the middle. I think that's the American. That's the slogan of our country. Bust it down the middle.
It happens all the time, bro.
Kind of touching too on what you just said. As far as the business and the creative aspect of it, right? So as myself, I know that it's a lot more fluid to go creatively first and then handle business afterwards. Is it like that with you guys too? Like with major artists, like we'll just knock this out creatively and worry about who gets what cut later?
No.
Or is it up front, like, let's talk about...
I personally need to know. I need to know what we're doing. With me and him, we're friends. We have just an understanding of what it is. You need to know that up front. Because then you might mess around and do that and someone will be like, I want 49.9999%. I'm not giving you nothing else. That's what it is. And you might end up losing a placement because somebody wants to be stubborn. So know the person you're working with and doing business with. Like, I know him. If I don't know you like that, I don't work with you. I have to trust you and know you before I'm going to really put you into my world of, my connections that I've worked so hard to get, after all these years. So, yeah, you got to know the person. If you don't know them that well, be like, hey, look, I'm in a big session right now. I got a situation happening. What are we doing on this business, bro? Like, you got to know it because you could lose the whole placement that way.
You set the right tone going in there because they'll respect you from that level. and that you're not just in there wide-eyed like, I can't believe I'm in the room. It's like, no, I'm here to do business. You can do the right business or we can, choose to go elsewhere. But you set the right, you set the right tone.
That's a fact. That is why to this day, I make sure I'm in a position where when I collaborate, I only collaborate with my friends. You know what I mean? I work with Trezza. I haven't worked with Diego yet, but I will work with Diego. I will work with a Timberland. I work with a Polo. Those are my friends. If I don't know you from Adam, best believe we're going to talk about them numbers. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to talk about your money. We all love music. We all have a passion for it. But this is the music business, as Trezza said. Don't get it confused and be leery of people that, I ain't about the money right now. Let's just go. Let's just do.
Nope. Ask questions.
You know what's ironic about that is that finesse is an art form. Oh yeah. So that way of operating business, that's still an art form. So the same way that you can,
that up.
Right, no. But the same way you can maneuver through some kicks and snares, and you got such a crazy swing. Somebody's like, let me befriend you first. Get your trust. Let's worry about the splits later, man. Let's get to this record. It's all about the music, right? Use your particular passion and what you love against you. You get in a situation where when it's time to talk business, you can't get nobody on the phone. Oh, man, that's just the higher ups. That's the suits, man. You got to give them some time. 2 years come around. You still ain't been paid. But you still don't want to burn those bridges. And then you kind of get brought back into that situation again. I've heard too many horror stories. I've been a part of my own to realize that, I would rather be the quote, because it's really a personal feeling that you have, because people who are those kind of creatures who are just aggressive about it, they understand that talk. When you come in there and say, no, it's business first. We can get to the creative, we can do that all night. We do that in our sleep. Let's get this business first, because that's going to expose. That person start getting fidgety with you and they're like, oh, no. This shouldn't be an issue. That's the easy part, right? Let's talk that first and then let's get to these records, especially if you don't know who you're dealing with.
When it comes to dealing with like the business side of things, and let's say you don't know this person on a personal level, like the trust isn't there and stuff like that, you want to know businesses first. Like, do you write something down, or is it like something you verbally discuss, as in like, hey, this is 40% cut this way, it's going to be split this way? How should you do it?
Well, for me, I'll say the way I do it is we kind of verbally talk about it, and then I'd be like, look, this is my manager, because I like to put the managers in between, because I don't want to be the bad guy. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to be the guy that's telling them like, oh, we're not doing this. Hell no. Like, get out of my face. I want to keep that relationship. So you talk to him, but I just make sure it's understood. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Cool, we good? All right, you deal with him. And then we keep it pushing, keep it creative. That's how I deal with it.
If you're talking about somebody that you want to collab with, or somebody that you've been collabing with,
I don't have like a specific situation, but I'm just thinking like hypothetically. Let's say somebody approaches us, let's say they're a little bigger, and they really like this beat or this instrumental. And I don't have a manager. Like, we don't have a manager. We're just starting off ourselves. Like, how do we approach that type of a situation?
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, word of mouth, it runs a long way in this business. My manager and me, I've been with him for a couple years now. We never touched any contract, because I feel like I have to pull a contract out. I kind of don't want to work with you. If I gotta pull a contract out with you and be like, yo, let's do these splits before we get any placements, I don't even want to. If I had to do all that, I don't want to work with you. Yeah, like it's about building relationships. But sometimes, I can't lie, you will be in a situation where you get an opportunity to work with a heavy hitting producer that can actually help your career out. And if that's the case, I mean, you gotta the ball's in their court, man. You gotta kind of ride the wave, get you a good manager, get you a good lawyer, and try to get the most you can. But they're probably gonna try to get more than what you're gonna get. To be honest with you,
you probably don't want to do business with the artist directly, anyways. You need to talk to the person that's the actual, person with the what they call it, the puppet. What was it? Yeah, the person behind the person. Like, my thing is, later on in my rap career, I was like, I'm not trying to connect with the rappers anymore. I need to know who tells him what he can and can't do. That's why I needed my phone. Because if he can't move on a record, like they were talking about earlier, having records with, so-and-so on the hook, if the label says you got to pull it off of the blogs, it's coming off of the blogs. You got to pull it off of whatever you got it on. They have the ultimate say-so in that situation. So I don't think that conversation should really come with you and the artist. I think, if anything, as you start to build that relationship, understand who is around him. Understand who is really because when you talk to a manager, you won't have that same sort of hesitation to talk about splits and whatnot, because you don't feel like, oh, I'm ruining this relationship. No, that's what the manager's job is to talk this kind of business. So if you don't have representation, absolutely talk to those decision makers. It's the same thing like if you ever done cold calling. I've done cold calling before. couldn't stand it. But when you're doing cold calling, like, you don't ask the business person that comes on the phone, you don't say, are you interested in getting so-and-so kind of cable? They don't make the decisions. That might be the secretary or the assistant. You talk to the person, can I talk to the decision maker? You know, so it's the same scenario. Obviously, you're not going to do it that rigid, but that's the person that you want to align that kind of conversation with before you get to work. And if you feel uncomfortable with working before you get that situated, then just ask them, you know, just say, this is the way that I prefer to handle business, if that's indeed the way that you prefer to handle business.
And I just will add too, like, I think there's also like, there's passion work, you know, and there's also just like business work, where it's like passion work might just be like someone you work with, someone that's your friend, someone you look up to, you know, like a major artist or something that you like, man, this is one of my idols, you know, I'm gonna work with him on his terms, you know. And there's definitely like a strength in seeing which situation it is. But there are also situations where you get a chance to work with someone that maybe has a business or company that they have the money behind them, they have the finances, and, you know, like, they want you. I've done stuff like NFL pregame, like, TV shows, or like Planet of the Apes soundtrack, different soundtracks and stuff. And it's like, for this stuff, it's, you know, if they want something specific, I'm going to give them that. But I also know they have the finances to do it. So I think it comes down to like sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. If you don't have a manager that's going to do it for you, I think sometimes there does come like a certain boldness that you got to move with. Like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do this show. Like, this show got these many people on it or whatever, but you know, we gonna need y'all to, you know, sign something. And I agree with that. I love, like, even before I had a manager, I had just a friend that would play the manager, you know, who became the manager, you know what I mean? But it was like, you know, he would just get on the phone, and I done had a full Skype conversations with dudes, you know, and people playing acting gigs, like, cause I just wanted to be behind the computer myself only. I was like, this is my team right here. This the lawyer, this blah blah. But, you know, it's like we was moving for big money. So it's like people with money, they gonna treat you like, you ask someone for that amount of money, you know, they dealing with people with money. So it's not like out of the ordinary to get something signed or something like that. And I've had multiple situations where in those more business projects where I don't know people, especially as, like, you know, an artist who's like you know, most people are gonna consider me a rapper first. Yeah, I produce, yeah, I do video stuff, yeah, I, you know, involved in a lot of aspects on my team, but, you know, this is hip hop. Like, we for a long time have been looked at as, like, you know, not that much respect. So people sometimes try to, like, in the business world, treat us down like that, and we gotta like make sure that we handle them situations correctly. I done had situations where I owned a percent of a company, and I did a deal with someone, and they, you know, they paid me an amount to do a endorsement for them, and then I got my video company to do a commercial. So they couldn't. So instead of paying me twice for it, for the video part, they paid me a sum of the money. And to do the song and the endorsement, I got a percentage of the company, you know. Now, like, for something like that, you know, you're going to need to get a contract, you know what I mean? Because it's like, something like that, you're going to need to prove it down the line. Or another situation I had was a show that I got booked on, and it was like a lot of big name artists on there. DJ Quick was on there, the Outlaws was on there. It was like a West Coast big show. And I'd worked with the promotion company a couple times, but I don't know. I just, you know, you just get that vibe sometimes from people. You like, okay, I might have to cover myself on this one. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do the show, and so, like, we always would just go with, as far as show stuff, like, we getting 50% up front, or we doing this, we getting 50% when we walk in, whatever it is, you know, and we would get that written down. So we showed up to do this show, and there was a problem with the promoter and the owner of the venue. And we literally walked in, we was deep. I'm there literally with one of Beyonce's managers coming to see me perform, you know what I'm saying? Who's the homegirl, but like, you know, it's a big deal, you know? And like, I told him, I said, oh, look, let y'all just wait in the car right quick. We're gonna work something out. Cause I felt something sketchy. People, other artists that was on the show was calling me like, yo, they telling me everyone who come in the door gotta pay $15 or something. And I'm like, but you know, this is a big show. Like this ain't no, you know what I'm saying? Like pay to play or nothing like that. You know, this is some shit. So excuse my language. So we walk up there and, you know, I'm getting hot because I'm seeing this stuff. So I asked Adrian in the back, I'm like, okay, handle this. Cause I never like to be the guy in the club or in the public, like dealing with someone else because it's just like, it's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? So so he goes and deals with it, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're saying that everyone has to pay to get in. And we're like, oh, you know, we literally got, you know, major artists on the way. We got guests coming that are like big artists that are gonna come out. And it's like, all right, cool, shit, we out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you owe us the other 50% of it before. We already got the other 50% in our pocket, and we was out. And literally everyone on that show was like heated because a lot of the artists were upcoming artists, and they wasn't like, you know, they was bringing out friends and other people. You know, for us, we was like, oh shit, you know, we handled the business up front so that when they didn't handle their business side of it, it was like we already got paid. You know what I'm saying? And like, we knew we was gonna see the promoter, so he paid us the other half just, you know, a week or so later, just on the strength of it, because the way we moved was in a way where it was like, oh, like we not messing with these dudes, like not even on some like scary shit. We're not gonna fight you in the front of the thing. Like, dog, we got it on contract. We got the half of it, you know. And every other artist on that show came home pissed off, you know what I'm saying? And we came home like, okay, well, I guess we got paid to drive over here, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's like a lot of it just comes down to making that decision in your mind of like, do you really think this is the type of a thing to where, you know, I need a contract? If I'm rocking with someone that, you know, I think is dope, a dope artist, a dope producer, something like that, we building that relationship, you know, it may not be right for a contract in that moment. And I think a lot of it just comes with communication, because that's where a lot of times the artists and the producers, you know, there are problems with it, and like labels and this and that. I had another friend who was working with a major producer, got a song with Wiz Khalifa and Problem on it that the major artist produced, and he dropped the song on his album like that. He was like the producer's artist for like an amount of time. I'm not gonna say no names, but you know, so he dropped the song thinking like this is my big homie, like he gonna support me, like he got me this song with these big artists on it, like he's using the song to get a deal with this label, you know, to leverage the deal. Like he actually is a major, you know, not to say I don't know exactly what the numbers was, but he actually had leveraged a big deal with them because they was like his album got big features on it and whatever. You know, he dropped it thinking, you know, it's gonna be love, you know what I mean? And that's the homie. Dude, the major artist, producer called the label. He said, yeah, if y'all don't take that off of iTunes, I'm suing y'all. If y'all don't take it off of blah, blah, I'm suing y'all. Then he called the label first, then called the artist and said, yeah, if you don't take all this stuff off, suing you, I'm taking all of this stuff, blah, blah. The artist said, he said, hey, take it off. It ain't going nowhere. It's on Hip Hop DX. It's on The Source. It's on this. It's on that. Like, what you mean? This is my biggest break of all time. I ain't never had blah, blah. You know, then the label called him. He said, oh, yeah, I don't think we could do this because, you know, the producer just called us and said blah, blah, you know, and, you know, it can be seen a whole bunch of different ways, but from my perspective, how I looked at it was like, you know, whether or not it was contractually stated, you should have communicated with that producer before releasing that. That should have been a meeting, a phone call, something to where y'all agreed to where when he heard that, when he saw it out, probably got pissed. You know, he probably thought you betrayed him for that. And, you know, and that's my homie, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like the communication is key. So whether it's contractual or just you know, face to face on the phone, like it's got to be there. The communication's got to be there.
I think you keep their interests first too when you do that, because that headache that he's talking about is probably a migraine for everybody involved. They never want to repeat again. So that time that you feel that timidness in you to even like talk the business, it's not just about you at that point. It's about protecting them as well from a headache like that. So if you say that first with them, you're doing business with them, they're going to look at you and, you know, it'll be like, it's not just about you protecting your end. It's about, let's save this from being a headache. At the end of the day, we want to make good music. But if we don't take care of this, somebody gets sued, you're going to wish this never happened.
Diego, before you hop on that, I saw, was it Sergio? Put your hand up. Can you pass the mic back, Praneet, please? Yeah. I saw your hand a while ago. I just didn't want to miss out on your insight.
Yeah, no worries. I'm like you. Sometimes I forget. But what I do remember is you said you reach out to the person behind the person. Yeah. Now, when you do that, do you reach out and have a kind of connection with the artist first, and then you go to the man behind the man and say, we're talking business, this is what's going on, this is what we got to do, and he likes it? Or do you reach out to the man behind the man first and then grow that bond with the artist? Because I would imagine the artist is probably the most organic connection first, and then you reach to the man behind the man, or how do you do it?
It depends on the relationship that the artist has with that manager, because there's certain situations, like he mentioned earlier, where you might have like a placemaker or placement where this is like your homie, that's your manager, that has no influence on the decision of the artist because the artist runs that show. But if you got a manager that's very aggressive about, no, you don't do these records without running it by me, you need to talk to that man. You still want to build with the artist, because if the artist says, I'm not feeling this situation, that whole thing is shut down. But I think that it's important that you build differently with both parties. One of them's there for business, one of them there for the art. You know, but if you go talking business to the artist, then it's going to be all kind of miscommunication. You go talking art to the businessman, it's going to be miscommunication all around. And the thing is, like, a lot of times people in this industry, that's what I learned. It's not so much that it's cutthroat. It's just that two people go in there with two different expectations. And somebody's not making it clear. One person's looking for the dollar signs, and the other person's looking for some sort of a connection, or some sort of, you got my back, you're my friend, and then we'll get to the money. We'll talk about that when it comes there, but that's not the basis of that relationship. You know, we got 6 human needs. I don't want to get too much into it. We got 6 human needs as human beings. A need for certainty, a need for uncertainty, a need for significance, a need for connection. But the two ones we need to be happy are growth and contribution. Okay? Most of us have a 3-tier to where if we have significance from a situation, so maybe you feel significant from working with a certain artist. If you get certainty by knowing he's going to get on my record, I'm going to be a big deal. And if you feel a love and connection, you'll be addicted to making that situation work even when it's hurting you. So it's, you know, not to get too deep into that, but it's important for you to make sure that you're on the same wavelength with who you're talking to. And if you're talking business to somebody that's like, you know, smacked out their mind in the studio and just want to get this hook done, of course things are going to get misconstrued. So just know who you're talking to and know the basis of their relationship. Not a problem.
Awesome. Diego, did you have something to add? Oh, okay, because I was like, you had it ready. You was like... Oh, okay, gotcha. We need some more energy. I'm going to need everybody to stand up for a good 5 to 10 seconds. We need to stand up for a second. Whoa, my knees. So that crack, all the cracks and all the whistles. So what's the time? Somebody tell me what time we got. 8:25. What time do you guys want to eat? You want to eat at 9? Because that's going to leave like an hour. We can do feedback. I'm kind of trying to get a feel of the room. 8:25. Well, they're going to take a break. But, oh, you're live. Okay, awesome. So in about, let's say a half an hour, we'll break and get some food and just mingle and do that thing. But, you know, continuing, everybody can take a seat now, but continuing on that continuum is that, you know, I have a high-level business mentor who is a billionaire. He's created many billions in revenue through him and his mentees. And one of his criteria with doing deals is it doesn't matter what's written down. You know, just like Louis King said, just like you guys have reiterated, it's not what's on the paper. What he does, even if it's written in the contract, he's dealing with law firms that are top 5. There's 5 companies or 5 firms that real businesses deal with. There's top 5 accounting firms, top 5 legal firms. They don't deal with, you know, mom and pop lawyers. You know, your brother's a lawyer, your step cousin's an accountant. They don't deal with those average folks. They deal with high level stuff. So even if it's contractually written out, what he does is actually background checks on people he's about to do business with. So, you know, it seems a little extra. You're like, oh, it's written down, it's legal, it's all good, but you don't know what that guy's intentions are on the other side of the table. And when you start doing multiple transactions, multiple business deals, you're not going to always know the guy. You're not going to always have that relationship built. It's just sometimes it's a growth strategy, whether you're acquiring businesses or what and whatnot. You know, I don't want to dig too deep into the advanced stuff, but my point is, you know, words in the air are not there. I learned that from a top counsel in the legal firm I deal with. He said words in the air are not there. So it doesn't matter what you verbally agreed to on the phone or what you said, you know, but we do wish we had that trust in everybody. And it's the same thing. You know, we talked about this yesterday. He's like, there's another guy who loves raising capital. He raises millions and millions. He said, I don't invest in just anybody with an MBA from, you know, it could be Harvard, it could be MIT, wherever it is. He said, I invest in people who have operated companies and people who have gone bankrupt 3 times, which means he'd rather give millions of dollars to the man who bankrupt 3 times and failed and actually knows how to maneuver and adapt before he gives it to the entitled, you know, guy with the degree from all the Ivy League schools. So I want you to understand that, you know, there's levels to this, as someone said earlier. I forget who I'm stealing from now.
Drake Mill?
Drake?
Right.
No, I thought one of you guys said it. There's levels to this. And the more you understand that those principles carry on throughout the levels, you know, we're all given intimate stories, but it's the same principle. It's the deal flow. You know, how do you create deals for yourself? How do you make decisions? Time cost. All these things Louis King was talking about. It's not just, do I take the money or do I take the percentage? Sometimes you got to weigh time cost, or Trisha was talking about, sometimes there is no back end. You know, like there is no.
If they independent,
increasingly,
it ain't no back end, bro. Don't let them fool you. If they independent, you ain't getting no royalty check. Bro, I had songs on the radio, and them royalty checks look slim. It ain't nothing heartbreaking like seeing a $6 ass cap check. Like, dang, man, I got to step it up.
Like, bro, I had a producer I worked with told me a story I never forget. And every time somebody talks a horror story, I can't imagine how this brother felt. He was on his lunch break, working graveyard shift. The re-airing of 106 in Park came on. The song he produced was the #1 record in the country. And he looked at his coworker and he was like, bro, that's my record on there. He's like, that ain't your record. You working here with me. Why you here? And he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to eat that humble pie and move on. But
That's how you learn.
But when he gave me that imagery, that's when I was looking at it like, okay, there's gotta be some kind of an alternative, or you gotta just have like a thick skin. Because me trying to put myself in that situation, you know, I gave you the situation where I went and performed with a homie of mine that was a big deal, and you know, performed in front of all these people and had an argument about tomatoes and onions. Like, life will humble you. But you have to make the decision, like, is this the route that I want to go? Which is, I'm glad why you created something like this, because I think that people hearing alternate stories lets you know there's not just one route to whatever success that you want in this industry.
Mm-hmm. So you missed day 1 and day 2 and all the things. So it's.
I just want to add. I ain't mean to cut you off, brother.
I just had a real horror, super horror story, real minor. Many moons ago, I'm at a Halloween party, and it's at a club. Club is super popping. Song came on, hottest song in the country. I did the beat. Nobody knows I did the beat. I'm getting a drink spilled on me, B. They playing my song. Nobody knows I had anything to do with it. From that day forward, I think professionally speaking, fuck that. I'm not doing this no more. You know what I mean? But it'll take something like that in life to humble you. Or if you were wide-eyed and you just thought you was cool with everybody, that lets you know, life ain't playing out here, and these people ain't playing out here, and this business is not playing with you either. So you just really gotta take yourself seriously. You know,
It's an electricity show ain't playing.
Facts.
Edison
Man.
don't care. Edison don't care about that placement. How you got just hearing like even myself got my first placement, and I made the mistake of when you get. Here's the thing about it. There's all these horror stories that we all share about what could happen, but sometimes we don't share enough stories about what happens if you actually find success. What you gonna do with that money? Are you making investments already? I was as an artist and as a producer, I was making commitments with money that I didn't even know how much it was gonna be. I just thought like, I had a placement with Glasses Malone and Mac 10, and it was under Who Bangin', which was under Cash Money. And I was like, I'm about to get paid. You better wait till I get my money. And it was still a nice check for a first placement, but literally 95% of it went to a PR that I had hired on the basis that I would give you some money from this placement check, which should be huge. And I gave her 95% of a check and contributed $50 towards rent. And then we got evicted. My mother, my sisters, and I got evicted in the same week. I had to wait a year almost to get my actual check. Because the first check I got, they spelled, okay, first of all, I didn't have my DBA, which is my fault. But they addressed it to Curtis King and not my government name. So I can't go cash that. I couldn't afford a DBA at the time because obviously this money is going 95% to a manager. But I went and finally got my check. Came to find out the offices for Who Bangin' was 5 minutes down the street in Rancho Cucamonga. I'm thinking it's somewhere deep in LA and whatnot, but you need those kind of stories. Like I look back on it and it's as horrible as a feeling of seeing my car get repossessed, seeing, my mom lose a house that, we moved from Carson out to Rancho Cucamonga before rent started getting crazy. And that was like her oasis. To see that literally crumble before my eyes and see that, and I can't do anything because I'm pursuing this dream. You need those kind of stories because they define your character, but don't aggressively go looking for them, right? There's a lot of decisions that I made that are my fault. I can blame other people and say, this person was a devil. No, I made the decision. I went in the studio. I submitted to the email. When I was on Twitter and they said, yo, send beats here right now. Don't send trash. For sure. I'm going to send those on. That was my fault. And so every time that I got ate up in those situations or that I just didn't understand the way that it works, the nature of the beast that I'm dealing with, it's like you would never hear a story about Tyson back in his prime time not studying his opponent and what he's coming up against. You're not going to just get in the ring with anybody. That's why it takes so long between. You're studying film. You're looking at okay, this is the beast I'm dealing with. Let's go ahead and do that. So I think it's the same thing. Understand the beast of the business that you're dealing with. Don't be afraid of it. Just prepare yourself and realize that some people can smell blood off of you. They can smell your passion and your love that you have for it. And if they can find a way to finesse that love that you have for it and convince you that they got your intentions, their best intentions, you'll do whatever it takes to be successful or to be. That's something else too. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm hogging the mic, and I apologize to y'all, but a lot of times we don't know what we want either. As a producer, 1 minute we want fame, then we get a homie that gets 1 million plays on SoundCloud. And we're like, I want 1 million plays on SoundCloud. Then we looked over here and we got another distraction, like another homie just got a Grammy. I want a Grammy now too. You go on these wild goose chases, and anybody who can get you there, or you think can get you there, can pull you whatever direction you want to. You end up looking up 10 years broker than when you started. You got experience, you're rich in experience, abundant in experience, but you end up broker than that. So what I say that is to say this. These opportunities like this to be in and I'm honored to be on a panel with brothers like yourself, like all of y'all. That is an honor to be. I wish I had this at 17 or 18 because it could have saved me a lot of heartbreak, right? It could have saved me a lot of just kind of like hoping that something works out, like ask those questions, but then also to realize that you have a choice before you get into this. And if you choose, if you're independent at nature, if you're an entrepreneur at nature, at some point in time, you're going to look up like I looked up and I was like, I'm tired of being these fools' employee. Like when I realized that people that were richer than me, I felt more intelligent then, not on an arrogant way. I just felt like, really? Are we having these kind of conversations? It changed my whole dynamic to where I said, I'm willing to give more energy to this person to build their dream than I'm even going to do for myself. Something got to change. So find that independence in you and then see what environments make sense for you to be there.
Sergio, one sec. You got the mic back there? Oh, you got it. One millisecond. I was gonna say before, what's on your mind? Before we go into that, this is how we're gonna separate the cream from the what do you call it? The cream of the crop mix. What's the rest of the stuff
Eye of
called?
the tiger, it's the
Thrill of the fight.
That's the will of the fight.
Yeah.
Well, separate, the dabbler from the person who's dedicated. This is what it is. It's seeking validation. And this is the trap that we all fall into. We all get hyped when we have 1,000 plays. We all get hyped. Now I have 56 million something views on YouTube alone. I know from experience, all the guys that you see on YouTube, for example, who are doing these cool videos, they're fantastic, hundreds of thousands of views every week or month. It doesn't lead to money for them. It's not a business. So I want you to understand that there's a difference between business and seeking validation. And majority of the folks that I talk to are trying to seek validation through getting that pat on the back, the cosign from whoever. We're just gonna say Timbaland. I'm just, no shade to Timbaland. He's family.
I think Instagram is built on that principle, right? Seeking validation. And ain't that what you in it for, the likes and the views and all that, right? Hey man, listen. It's no mistake that it's built off that. That's emotional. That shit is strong. People know you want that. You want them likes. You want them views. They gonna build a whole business off of it.
Spiking dopamine. You control that dopamine, you control your success.
Mm-hmm. And that's just one snare that a lot of us don't see. I got super starstruck when Rodney Jerkins shouted me out on Twitter. He's like, oh man, the chord codes. I forget what he said exactly, but he shouted me out twice, and I was literally like stuck for a week with that real starstruck energy. And and if I would have chasing down celebrities mentioning me, is that really going to help? Yes, it's social proof. Once you get social proof, we talked about this a couple of days ago. I don't know with who, but Colin was here from eMastered. He talked about how they split up, credits. It's very political when you get into a Drake record and who you credit. Some people are doing certain people favors, and it's wild. You're gonna have to watch the replay about Colin speaking on that. But in short, people who they might do it for free. You get a record for free with Drake, let's just say. They'll do it for free. Why do it for free? It's called social proof. You're proving that Drake trusts you. Now, day one and day two, we talked about the trust threshold of somebody who does not know you is way up here. Just like girls, I always love to kind of mingle this in with relationships. Your girl that you want to meet and date and whatnot, her trust threshold is way up here. You start down here. So the goal is to lower the trust threshold so that your signal goes above the threshold so that she can actually pay attention to you and want to build with you. And the whole, all these things are about lowering the trust threshold. That's what branding's about. It's all about trust. That's why I have all my friends up here. We got Louis King. He has people that trust him to the core. So when they see me with him, they like, oh, he rocks with him. Oh man, he must have something of value. They lower this ego, this barrier that's blocking them from receiving. And the same with Curtis King. We're working together doing a ton of work. There's people who love me, at Busy Works Beats, and they're like, yo, Curtis King, you're on, music producer conversations with Game? Oh, man. They automatically, there's an element of trust that shifts. And it's almost like we're, hugging and becoming like, a metamorphosis of one big thing, one big Power Ranger. I'm sure everybody saw Power Rangers.
It's morphin' time.
It's a mighty morphin' time. We are like 6 Power Rangers coming together.
If you're 30 and over, Voltron.
Mm-hmm. I call dibs on the White Ranger.
The White Ranger?
I'm Tommy, okay?
Awesome.
Man.
And
the sword with the talking Drake. Ooh, he was cold.
and as long as you make that, you really pay attention to your philosophy when you're making decisions. Don't just do it for seeking validation. Use it for social proof to then leverage that trust element to create money later down the line. Too many people are seeking views. Too many people are seeking subscribers without an intent. My intent is to create monetary funds so I can fuel good things like this. I couldn't have had the money to rent out the studio or fly into LAX, or to rent the Marriott hotel, super high-end hotel. We wouldn't have had the money for that if it weren't for serving you first and going after that monetary thing. Because once you exchange value, it multiplies itself so you can continue doing good with your intentions. And we spoke about intentions, but my intention right now is figuring out when we're going to eat. So
can I add something real quick, though?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to say, earlier we was talking about managers and just piggybacking on everything, right? I'm sure, raise your hand if you have a manager. So all you guys don't have a manager, right? The key thing with this manager thing, you know what I'm saying? Managers have to have something to manage. If you're only making a certain amount of money, they're not going to manage you because they make money when you make money, right? If you ever watch Shark Tank, the people who get deals are the people who have sales. Every time. I can watch Shark Tank. The first pitch, he's getting a deal. He's not getting a deal. Because it's always that one person like, oh, I got this prototype. How many sales you got? Nothing. Oh, we ain't rolled it out. You're not getting a manager, bro. And it applies like that for everything. People want results. You okay? So if you're looking for a manager, it doesn't have to be this high profile guy. It could be your homeboy. You just need somebody to trust that you trust to kind of deal with your business. And the same thing, you got to put your team together. You got to find people. A business is ran. When you got a restaurant, you got a cashier, you got a manager, you have somebody who makes the food. You got all this stuff. You as a producer, you have to figure out your roles and what's the most important, and you need to kind of know how to do them enough to get by. I managed myself for years. Or you still Oracle manages itself.
Yeah, facts. I have a lawyer. I never had a manager ever.
You know what I mean? I have a manager. I went for years without having a manager. I've never signed a contract with a manager. It's all handshake stuff. But I had to have something to manage. In the times where I didn't have nothing to manage, I was grinding it out. So if you don't have a manager, try to build your business up. You get what I'm saying? People will come to you. Once you start popping, you will get the calls. As soon as you get a placement, I guarantee you'll get a pub deal offer like that. They're going to try to find you. It might not be great. They're going to try to get you. You okay? Don't ever take no first deal. Trust me on that. You know what I mean? They definitely going to try to get you, but you have to set that up. And I feel like some people don't know. They think like, oh, I make great music. Somebody's going to manage me and they're going to make me poppin'. It doesn't work like that.
They're going to micromanage you.
And even a manager is like having Greg Popovich. You know what I'm saying? He's your coach. He's going to help you guide, but he really ain't on the court. He ain't doing that for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I carry myself like I don't have a manager. Diego, same way. We be in these sessions. We be playing the beats. We are the one emailing this stuff out. We running through this stuff. Our manager is just like the fail-safe.
And don't ever blame not having a manager as lack of success. It's always your fault.
It's your fault.
It's always you. They don't never use your manager as an excuse.
It's part of being an
I
entrepreneur.
just got one 2 years ago. And before that, I had tons of placements, ton of stuff. Like you got to do something for yourself. Even when you have one, you still got to work for yourself. They're just gonna guide you. You can't wait for them to do nothing for you.
You will get a manager too fast, and you won't have enough work. Every aspect of your life is going to be starting to get managed. Since you don't give them enough work, then it's like you spending too much time on Twitter. How about you fall back from that? Now you talking about it's not even a life coach. Now it's like an annoying girlfriend.
Right.
Okay, yeah, like another parent
like
or whatnot.
A third parent. You're like,
and you got to be careful about getting like. I think we're told this story when we're first starting. Like these are the tools that you need for success. You need a manager. You gotta get signs. You need this. You need this. And everybody has a unique story on this panel where they didn't need anything except for really the foundation of what their character is. You know, having a mentality that is really, everybody shares that mentality here, is that this is what it requires for me. I'm going to set the bar this high and everything needs to come up to this level for things to get there. That's what I keep hearing from everyone, is that they all at some point in time said, you know what? This is no longer okay for me. This is okay for me. Set the bar, then set the bar. Everybody's saying the same thing with that, but you get a manager too early, you're going to end up having the most bitter, arguments. And I've been in that situation, having the most bitter arguments because it's like, we're not even making money yet. What are we talking about right now? But when those phone calls start going crazy and then you're like, I have too much business to manage myself. I need a manager. These phone calls, somebody got to get back to these people because I can't get to them all. I'm actually losing out on money now. I need a manager that's going to manage that particular aspect of my business.
Let's kind of segue that energy. And Sergio's the active man back here. I'm going to get to you first since I was going to take it somewhere else.
Yeah, real quick, I've been here since Thursday, and all I see is nothing but bright individuals, very smart, very experienced, who are giving us a blessing of knowledge. My question is this. Out of all the smart people out here, I hear everybody getting screwed over, right? One way or another, it happens. In Hollywood, the writers got a fucking union. Why is nobody spearheading the union for the producers? Is there no cohesion? Is it just like too selfish? Is it like, fuck, I don't got time to worry about that? Or is it just, well, if we do this, somebody's going to come in and do it anyway for a cheaper price? But Hollywood doesn't give a shit about that. So how do you take back the power and realize shit doesn't happen without you, without us, without the writers? Where is the dude saying, man, fuck that. shut it down. And what does it take? Why is it so hard to do that? I know I'm not the only one thinking of this idea. It has to go through your head a million times. So help me understand why this isn't happening.
I think Sunny Digital posed that first question. Was it him first? I don't know. Somebody. And then somebody else did it. Curtis King, you just spoke about him. Who?
Yeah, well, no, I don't know who else. I think it was Sunny Digital that posed
somebody
that.
Back. Oh, and DJ Toomp spoke about it?
No, he talked about the Davis Act. That was
I'm
that's
sorry.
something else. Yeah.
Oh,
but
no. What?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. What you were saying?
I lost my train of. Oh, you know what? It's because there are decision makers in Hollywood who control assets. You know, real business worth millions. It's a little bit different with producers and music. There's no real asset. You know, imagine a movie. Let's imagine the set of a movie. Louis King knows way more about this than I do. So, you know, how do they get into those illustrious mansions? How do they get into these scenes, you know, in the New York streets? They shut down New York streets. It takes a bunch of money and political connections to do that. I think maybe the independent market is a little bit of a better conversation versus the major market. So let's talk about independence, the independent market, and then unionizing the independent market, because the major market is decision makers. It's a bunch of decision makers making decisions, and that's what it comes down to. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is that when I first heard about the union, you know, what I realized is that there are a lot of varying needs between the quote unquote, I guess, industry producer and not even just the independent producer, because they're servicing the same people, but when you talk about even like the leasing producer, right? What I found is that, and this is just coming from where we come from in the IE, is that anytime you see rappers not getting enough attention, that's when the talk about union come in. We're not together. We're not together. And then when we come together, they don't show up to the meeting. Right? Because like the reason the reason why we ain't popping is because, you know what I'm saying? So when I see that, I'm not saying that's about Sunny Digital. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he really was expressing something that was every producer. He wants to see them be able to win, but every producer's needs are different. Right? You got producers right now, and I feel like I talked to a lot of them, different ones, where some are just trying to find some extra spending money while they're in college. His needs are different from the person that got a mortgage on a mansion, or the person that has to do this in order to keep a certain lifestyle up. It's a different need. So the thing about it is now what's going to happen is you build this sort of totem pole where the people who do you put at the top of it? The people who have, you know, because I'll tell you like this, just because you're famous don't mean that I need to be listening to you. Just because you have success in one particular field. It's like, would you talk to the greatest plumber of all time about your taxes? But he's the greatest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So I think you got to see. I think a lot of times we've been, and I especially felt for this when I was younger, is giving people too much power over my decision making because of how famous they are. You know what I mean? Because of how, you know, whatever it make things look like. You know, but I think you have to, for a union to work, you have to make sure that a union works within these different sections of the producer community. The industry producers do need a union. We all take care of each other because there's a different language you speak there. When you're talking about splits, you're talking about things that are happening, the politics of things. Okay, we're no longer going to submit beats to this artist because of the way they're doing business. Until they change that, they're out of this circle. That makes sense there. But you can't tell a 16-year-old who just helped his mama with rent by leasing beats on YouTube that, what you mean we're not sending beats? I'm trying to get out of this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rouse cannot have control over a 99-cent store. They're serving two different demographics, two different needs. So I think it's the same thing for the unions to work. There can be an overall union, but it's got to be people who are assigned and they're actually active participants within these extra parts of the community. Because it's like you wouldn't put somebody in charge of your neighborhood who's never walked your streets. It's important.
I have 3 points before I forget, because my brain will forget in a millisecond. Firstly is that ASCAP and all these organizations, they send lawyers down to Washington to fight for your law as far as the producer and songwriters in general. So that's like the highest level of this happening, the producer union. Second tier is, the question is, what is independence? You know, if you want to be independent, why are we worrying about the next man getting his just due and next man getting his just due, so on and so on? So really, are we independent at that point? And my third question is, with the union, I think the idea is that people think the solution is, let's everybody no free beats, only start beats at $50 a beat. But that's price fixing, and it's completely illegal. Right. So we need to understand that there's one, independence. Two, are we going to be a cohesive force? Three, how do we get the legal force behind it? And four, what data are we using to say that it should be this price, it should be this way? So
lot of variables. That's why they have self-driving cars, but due to moral issues, they don't sell them right now because they got to figure out who do you kill? Do you hit the 8 people or the 2? You know what I mean? It's those types of things. Those types of decisions have to be made. It sounds like a super great idea, but there's so many working parts to it. It takes a massive effort to really put that together.
Maybe the union starts with you and the producers that you know too. It doesn't have to be you wait on anybody, honestly. If you got producers in your area that are not getting paid for your records, you guys become a resource to one another about information that you didn't previously have because everybody's on their own grind, everybody's grinding their own way. Start that with them amongst yourself. Just be that person. Because the thing about it is, I see the passion and how you're describing this. Like, Hollywood got this. Why don't we have this? And when you start asking those questions, that's when you start getting the right answers. A lot of times, the answers that I always wanted, I didn't get because I was asking misdirected questions. It's funny because Tony Robbins always says in the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive. He said, I think what they meant was, ask smart and you shall receive. That's what the intent was in that. So I think in this situation, you're finding the answers by asking these questions. So if you need to start a union with it's just you and 4 other producers, I think that's worth it. Because if one of y'all happen to go into a studio session and it could save 16 other headaches, I think that's well worth it. I think it starts with the small. You ask most people, do you want $5 million today or do you want a penny that doubles in value over the next 30 days? They're going to take that $5 million. The penny that doubles in value is $10 million. You know what I mean? So I think that it starts with the small. If you can work on that small, if there's 3 producers in your neighborhood right now that feel the same way as you, that's all you need. And build right there and build it out.
Think about it. What is a union? A union is a bunch of workers, which you're not trying to be. Everybody who stood up in the beginning said they don't want a 9-to-5. So if you don't want a 9-to-5, why are you seeking a union? I'm not coming at you directly, Sergio, but my point is it's a conflicting mindset. We're trying to reach for a goal, but then we're turning ourselves around and going the opposite direction. So let's speak about independence, because this is the ultimate question. How do I go from a 9-to-5 to surviving? I do believe in burning the boat behind you to create urgency. Diego talked about that yesterday.
Flame on.
Flame on. And one mistake I see a lot from people coming from the corporate world, jumping into their own businesses, is that they jump too early, with no safety net. You're just jumping into an idea that wasn't tested. Back to Triz's point, you said, how did you put it? You said something wasn't tested. So, on Shark Tank. When people pitch concepts and ideas, stuff that's not tested, they're not going to fund you because it's not a proven model. Just like in business, you put out stuff, you see what works, and you scale what works. And I told this to Oracle, Triza, they know the real science behind it. But that's what it comes down to. If it's not proven, why are you trying to put more energy into it to multiply something that's not proven? You can be actually fueling negativity and going backwards. So let's speak about independence and how we broke away from that cycle. I'll leave my thoughts and let them develop over time so I can have a solid answer, but I'll let anybody pick up at this point.
I say it's real easy to be busy. Not Busy Works Beats, but it's real easy. It's real easy to do a bunch of work and not get nothing accomplished, right? One of my biggest things is I write out everything, and then I figure out what's the most important, and I put it in order, and then I do those things first. That really changed my life, because before I would just do stuff and I'm like, I did a bunch of stuff, but it ain't add up to nothing. You know what I mean? I'm over here making all these beats for no reason. Now I go in, I probably make the least amount of beats I have ever in my life, but I get more work done because I'm very targeted. I'm very exactly. Everything is about structure. Because if you don't have the structure, you can't measure anything.
And that's a common theme. I coach high school football, and I coached for years. We're not out there running the practice plan. Yeah, we're going to do this. There's a practice plan. It shows what we're doing. 15 minutes, we're doing endo. And after endo, we're going to inside run. After that, we're going to team. Like I said, we're not out there just running around. It's structure, and it makes sense. In every aspect of success, there has to be structure, or else y'all just running around playing fucking catch.
Could you imagine playing a game without a scoreboard? Could you imagine playing a game without a scoreboard? And I think a lot of times we grind like that. We think like, man, we putting up you on point, because we put so much work into what we doing. It's almost like putting a bicycle on his side and riding fast as we can. We're convinced that we grinding. We're convinced. I got some weird analogies, but we're convinced that we're grinding. But the thing about it is, if you don't even know the score, sometimes you're so hard on yourself, you don't know that you're winning. We up 50. Dang, I didn't even look at the scoreboard. Right. But I think that's important. Measuring that is so important.
That which gets measured gets managed.
Come on.
When you mess up, you need to know.
All these little quotes.
You know what?
I can't lie though.
No, go ahead.
I've always been a big believer in taking that leap of faith. Like my whole life, I've taken leaps of faith. If not, I wouldn't be where I am now. If you wanted that next level of success to where you're actually doing something you really love and making money out of it, it's not going to happen without you taking humongous risks and just throw it all on the table. Like one, I believe in that. I may be wrong, but it's done well for me. You know, I was making comfortable money as an engineer. Many years ago, I was making good money. There was not a time you wouldn't go to Miami as an artist and not have me record your vocals. And I was like, you know what? I hate it though. I hate it. So boring. I don't like being somebody's waiter in the studio. So I got an opportunity to get signed and this and that. So I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna quit. I had a little bit of money saved up. Even the me coming from Miami to LA, like I had a little money saved up, not that much. I did it. I don't care. I'm taking every leap of faith because I know the next guy's not. So goodbye. I'm gonna get to the next level. So that's just all I got.
And let's speak to those with children. You know, obligation, a wife at home, a house. You know, things that they've kind of committed to. This is a higher level because now we're balancing risk with actual death and survival. So we're not putting our own self at risk of death, but somebody else. I think that kind of multiplies the heat for some folks. You know, I can't just leave my dog at home and just travel the world and go on tour. He has to be somewhere to be watched. Even a dog is responsibility and commitment. So the question is, how do you manage jumping from one thing to the next? In my opinion, what you want to do is, this is what I did before I just jumped into the YouTube thing. You want to build up your income so that it's starting to match where you're getting paid every paycheck or every 2 weeks or month. And then when you see consistent results, as Trizza said, constant results showing that it works, then you slowly transition, maybe lower your hours, maybe completely quit your job. I don't know what your ideal of leaving and transferring over to your independent career is, but at some point you have to put more hours into your business than you do into somebody else's business, because the time you invest is your key, you know, and I'll let everybody else speak on their ideas of independence.
Yeah. Well, I wish somebody would have introduced me to when I went to a seminar in 2015. I paid the most money I ever paid in my life to go to a seminar, to a Tony Robbins seminar called Unleash the Power Within. And one of the things that he shared that I wish somebody would have told me earlier is what he calls the massive action plan. You know, I think a lot of times we make to-do lists, and to-do lists are the most natural things for us to do, right? But how many times do you get a to-do list done when there's 16 things on there in the same day? Let's be real. Let's be honest about that. You don't get those done. So instead of asking, what do I need to do or what action I need to take, first question you need to do is, what is the result that I want from this situation? First and foremost, what is the result? Whoever you're working with, even if you're working on a beat, what's the result from this beat that I want? Because that will change your whole line of thinking. No, I'm not just going to make another R&B beat. I'm going to make a record that I believe that if Bryson Tiller hears himself, he is going to need this record for the next phase of his career. It sounds psychotic, but you got to be that way sometimes. You have to know what outcome, what results you want. Second thing is, why do you want that? Your why is going to fuel you all the way to the end of the line. After you figure out what that why is, what that purpose is, then you figure the massive action plan. What action do I need to take after that? So results, your why, then the massive action.
You better teach him about Oprah.
I'm saying, man. I'm saying, look. But I wish somebody would have shared that with me, because it's like, there's so many times I made to-do lists, and then all my homies are like, yo, you grind crazy, Curtis. And I'm like, man, I'm just out here trying to get it. And meanwhile, I'm the dude riding a bicycle sideways, you know, and I'm not going nowhere. No actual progress. But then it's so many times where I tell you, I took a month away from social media recently when just life got crazy or whatnot. And all I consume my time with, because mind you, I make music for a living from my home. This is what I do for a living. I took a month off from social media, and I was so scared because of the way we've been kind of programmed to believe, like, if we walk away from that, man, all your business is gonna go with it. And I believed that, and I took a month away. I came back with the most clarity, the most focus. I still worked, but I had to sit back and say, hold on. No more to-do list. Forget that. I got a big whiteboard at home by my diner table, my dining room table. It's an eyesore because I put so many things on it before. So I said, erase the thing. What's the result that I want from the situation? Why is it so important for me to get it done? And then from there, what's the massive action I got to take after I know those two things? It'll change everything. So just like you said earlier about you got to take that leap of faith, as long as you have, and I think innately you already had that. I think you already had that as you were going into it. It may feel like a leap of faith, but you had in your mind, I have this lined up at least.
No, you always let me refix that. I
right.
always had something lined up though. I didn't just say, I'm gonna just quit my job and just make beats. No, I had a situation though. I moved to LA because I had a big producer wanting to work with me, and I stayed at his spot. It was always a situation, but it's still a leap. Like I've been with my girl for 10 years, and sorry, you figure it out later, man. You're gonna have to stay here for a little bit. Like, that's
and I wasn't saying that to attack it. I was saying
no, you're right.
The brilliance of what you did is that sometimes we make these decisions. Like I did a podcast interview the other day, or this morning actually, and might have been y'all, whatever, days be blurring together. But she told me, she was like, it was so brilliant of you to make the decision to play a PlayStation game and start your production career. I was like, you crazy. I saw a game for $10.99. I had $12 in my pocket, and I was like, the producers at my school are trying to charge me $300 to rent their beat. Nah, fam, I got to learn how to make a beat. And plus, at the time on Napster, the only beats that were available, every other mixtape had one. And 50 Cent and G-Unit had already killed all of these remixes. So what am I going to do on a mixtape? I need to make some beats, right? So, but I think the thing is sometimes, we don't give ourselves enough credit. And I think it is that, even sometimes when we are that leap of faith, I think sometimes we have in our mindset, this is going to make sense somehow, some way. It is the most difficult conversation I ever had to have was my pops to tell him I'm not going to college because this thing that I'm working on my PlayStation is going to one day make me a living. My pops teached at USC. What the hell are you talking about? Your PlayStation, really? That little thing that you think that's going to do something for you? If you don't get out of here and go find yourself a job and get into college. But I think even that, the thing is, what I realized is that it started a tradition of thinking that no matter where I'm at, I got to make this work to my advantage. Even when I went to my first year of college, I was lucky enough to where I couldn't get in any general ed classes. So what I take? Introduction to radio and broadcasting so I can learn how to mix a little bit because I didn't have any engineers in my area that could teach me. I took a stand-up comedy class so I can get over my stage fright whenever I'm rapping. Yeah, I was at college. I was at Cerritos College, matter of fact. Right, I felt like I was too until I seen them classes. And it's funny because College Dropout by Kanye came out at the same time. That was like bad timing. But I remember one interview where Kanye said, I'm not telling you to drop out of college. I'm telling you get everything you can from college so college doesn't use you. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a small business class. Okay, I'm going to take advertising principles. I ended up going to Orange Coast College, and one of the most brilliant teachers is still there, marketing teachers, Professor Morgan. I learned advertising principles, marketing 101. I was supposed to go there for a music production career. Came out with a marketing certificate because of how great he explained this information. He's still teaching that to this day. But I went there and I came out of there. My MySpace was popping. You couldn't tell me nothing because of all these different tools that I learned. But I'm kind of going all over the place. But the reason I say that is that it's embedded in your mindset. You can learn all the tools you need. Because BusyWorks Show got every tutorial you could ever want on FL Studio on YouTube right now. You got a monopoly on that.
Indeed.
On every version, too.
I have a quick tutorial. Once you're done, I have a quick tutorial.
But it starts in the mindset. Don't overlook that aspect of it. Where's your mental health at? Where's your focus at? What are you focusing on? What is the most important thing to you? Fix that first. You can learn this stuff in 4 or 5 hour courses, but if you don't get that part of it right, you'll go home and not put any of the stuff that you're consuming to action.
I had another point. Now, the majority of the room stood up when they said they had 9 to 5s and were trying to escape that life, right? So here's what separates, and I don't mean to be vulgar, whatever. Here's what separates rich folks from everybody else. It's how they look at time. Time is the most precious asset, period. Now, if you want to earn money, think about this. If you have no money, invest time. Time is all you have to invest. You have no money, you have no resources, you have no capital. You invest your time, your sweat equity, your energy, everything else that comes with that, your focus. Then you earn money. And then once you earn that money, you invest your money to buy time. That's when you grow your team. That's when you scale up. So now you're creating freedom to do more things. If you want to be a serial entrepreneur and start moving into other businesses. Again, can your business run if you're not there? If it can't run when you're not there, then all you're doing is investing your time to create money. You have a high salary job. That's what you've created for yourself. So can you step away from your business and still get paid on your phone and check PayPal notifications, whatever it may be? You know, there's a science to this and a business technique to it. So that's a mentality you have to take. If you're at a job, you're investing time because you have nothing else to offer right now. Once you earn that money, you invest that money to then buy back your time through building your business. So as long as you understand that, I think that's going to push you to the next level.
If y'all haven't, look up Grant Cardone. It's called the 10X rule, right?
Talk about it.
What that means is whatever you think you're going to do, right, it's going to be 10 times harder than what you think it is. Every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you think you're going to just walk to the store and do this, you're going to run into stuff, you're going to hit lights, somebody going to be parked, it's going to be 10 times harder. It applies to everything. So you trying to be a producer, it's going to be 10 times harder than what you actually think it is. But knowing that it's 10 times harder makes it kind of easier because you know what to expect. You get what I'm saying? You know that you need to crank it up that much.
Yo, that is a fact.
With this production thing, Kanye's your competition. Timbaland's your competition. We're your competition. I work competition. Yeah, and we work all the time, bro. If you check us on Instagram, you'll see us working. You have to outwork us because we're your competition.
We're not being outworked.
And we're not gonna be nice about it. We're not gonna be nice about it.
The ball, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not gonna be nice about it. We're gonna be over here all day.
Send me some beats, I'll use them.
Yeah. So if you guys I just want y'all to understand, if y'all really want to take this serious, the amount of work that comes with this is crazy. But it's worth it because you get to do what you love. You know what I'm saying?
And you'll want to do it.
You'll want to do it.
You love this, right? You love
it's
this.
It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy, I could do this a couple hours and it gets by. This is I do this all day. I stress about, I can't sleep because, I need to turn this snare down. You know what I'm saying? I think about stuff like this, like, I need to rebounce this. The bounce ain't right on this. My mix ain't right on this record. I dream about this stuff.
Let me ask you this. You ever push copy, but as you don't paste it, you feel like you got something in your hand still until you actually push paste? You spend a lot of time on the computer when you do that. Yeah, you're like, it's still in my hand. I haven't pushed paste yet.
That's clipboard anxiety.
Clipboard anxiety. That is a real... I have a... you know what? In that book, yes, get 10X Rule, get the unabridged version off an audiobook where Grant Cardone goes on rants, because that to me is one of the greatest, the 10X Rule. One thing that he said too, you remember what he said? He said, this goes into the hard work, make your business omnipresent, right? So when you're talking about, sometimes you do hard work, you do so much hard work in silence that even your off days look like you're still working hard. But no, this is just an investment of time that I took months and months before that is already in motion. Like now I'm thankful I got a schedule with my YouTube, so where people think like, man, you releasing content every single day. It's like, no, I have assigned days where this block of time is dedicated to my week long of content. Right. So now that's done. Now that's generating income while I am over here working on what I want to do, is making beats, what I love to do. Warren Buffett said, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. I heard that. It almost made my heart skip. So now I was like, okay, well, what kind of things can I create that will enable me, like you said, like Game said, to buy back my time? But a lot of this stuff, as much as it can feel overwhelming, a lot of it is just sitting down and saying, you know what? Instead of watching this Laker game, I'm gonna start brainstorming. I got a notebook at home. I feel like such a kid sometimes, but I got a YouTube idea book, right? But it gets me excited. And also too, when you make to-do lists, when you finally make it, don't just use generic terms. Generic terms don't get you motivated. Oh no, actually, like your verbs, and then also two things like there's words that if I told you like, go make a jump shot. It may not be enough inspiration. Go make the most powerful jump shot you've ever made in your life, right? Or go make go be a beast in the game right now. Use words that really get something out of you, and then make a list. My list look like I'm psychotic. It'd be like, wake up and make the most monstrous hip hop anthem that you have made in your life. because you have no other choice. That's number one. Okay? 2 is nourish your body before you die, because those words get reactions from you. It may sound dramatic, it may sound over the top, but these are the things that you need to get it done. I tell you, I don't go to sleep without something done off my list, because I set these realistic lists that say, look, these are the words that get me motivated. This is what gets me. It's funny because I remember, I forget how they described it, but I was on a treadmill watching these sports highlights, and they were describing KD's defense, and they used a word like, it might have been tenacious or something. I was like, dog, that's a crazy way to describe his defense. I'm about to be tenacious on this treadmill. I'm about to be tenacious when I open up this FL Studio. It's going to sound silly to everybody else, but once you get that embedded into your mind, those are the words that get you moving, you'll move. This is what you love to do. It's not hard work. This is just a requirement to get to where you need to get.
Basically, this is your competition. You feel me? Listen, this is not a lottery. You will not just automatically send something one day and somebody's going to swoop down like, yo, you the shit, come with me. It don't happen like that. You got to outwork everybody up here, and you hear the way we're talking. So you know what you're up. Yeah, you know what you're up against. The thing is, and I always say this, if you're not willing to outwork your competition, then you don't deserve what you want. It's as simple as that. You got to be willing to be decisive. You got to be willing to have discipline and go all out for what you want. Otherwise, pick something else.
Mm-hmm. Panit had a question, and Jalen had a question as well. So I want to attack those questions.
Oh, yeah. And you had a question, too.
Oh, there's another? Okay, I can't see everybody. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had just mentioned ASCAP earlier, and I just wanted to know, like, how do you know what specific, like, PRO to choose as you're kind of like, wanting to make money and everything off your music? How do you know which one to exactly go to? How do you make that decision?
Well, the better question is, what are your objections for choosing between the two? What do you think is different?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I'm trying to figure out, is what exactly is the difference? And how do I know what works best for me in my career?
It's just when they pay you, bro.
Yeah.
They pay you in different times. I think
Same
CSAC
thing.
is every month. I think BMI is every like 3 or 4 months. Something like that. It's just when they pay you, but it's really all the same thing, bro. Unless you get someone to pay you to jump with them, then that's the one you go with. But until then, just pick one, bro.
Honestly, they all do the same. I'm with BMI, and the reason I'm with BMI is because I had a potential placement when I was 18 years old, and BMI was free to sign up at the time, and ASCAP cost a little bit. Other than that, same thing.
Facts. I'm on ASCAP because Pharrell was on ASCAP. I want to be like Pharrell. That's it.
I got a call that I was going to have a placement with Vans, and I ran a Google search. I read one article, and it confused me, and I said, this one is free. So I went with ASCAP. I'm glad I did now in retrospect, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I think sometimes we overthink a lot of these music terms, thinking like there's a perfect answer for it, but there's no better teacher than experience.
Makes sense. And I had another question actually for you.
Sure.
So it's kind of like for like dealing with pay-for-play shows. And how do you, just judging like when do they work, or how can it work out in your best advantage? How can it work out for you?
I think with pay for play shows, it's still the same mentality that I was sharing applies. What is your goal? What is the result you want from this? Because sometimes it makes sense. Now, pay to play shows don't make sense because a big name's involved. If the big name does not attract a demographic that is going to be in tune with your music, like it's so many, like it's crazy because there's so many like super cerebral underground rappers who hate everything on the radio but can't wait to go open up for Lil Uzi Vert. Like they can't stand the music, but they're like, I'm gonna be in front of a lot of people. You just cold calling a bunch of people that they're probably not gonna like your music. So I think having a strategic plan of not just, if you're going to go that route, which I don't do it now. Of course, I don't do it anymore because I went through some terrible promoters who used that situation. But there were times that I said, okay, I got to get something from this. If it's not about the bag in this situation, I need emails. If it's not about the emails, I need to bring merch. I need a merch table, right? I need to make this make sense because I know that when the light comes on and my name gets called, I'm going to do my job. But I think that you got to figure out what is your goal with that particular show and how are you going to attack that. There's no way that I would ever do another pay-for-play show unless I had a team coming with me. And this might just be homies who are in the audience, like going crazy, like, man, this dude is hard, huh? Like not even knowing that that's part of my team. Just literally getting people, because that's how crowds react. And then after things are over with, having discussions like, yo, do y'all know who this name is? Oh, yeah, that's Curtis King. Oh, here's his social media information. I got a bunch of his songs I can email you. Even me, like I think a lot of times we have this mentality that the artists we look up to are so untouchable. We got to be just like them. No, get right up in that crowd after you perform. Don't put no other clothes on. Wear the same exact clothes that you had on that stage. You might even be sweating. Walk to the crowd. Shake hands. Thank you so much. If you want all these songs I just performed, give me your email. I'll send that to you tonight. And just have that stuff ready. That's how I can make a pay-for-play show work. Make sense to me. Because other than that, it's a financial loss every time. So I think going there with a strategic plan, you can make it make sense if you know how to finesse that situation. But I think going in there hoping that you'll play your best song and then the crowd goes crazy and then the tide shifts and then you know so-and-so fans become yours. It's a dream scenario. It just doesn't work like that. It's the lottery. It's the lottery mentality.
And do your research too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, go for sure.
Do your research too, like, because I done like way back. I done pay for play shows where I thought, you thought this is a great idea. This blah blah, and you on the bottom floor on a different room than the artist performing during the time when the artist performing. Who gonna go to a show to see if they favorite artist and go watch the other artists in a different room? Like it don't even. So there's so much layers to it. But I had to tell the story too, because you sitting here. I had a dude ask me that, right? And like what I started doing was, like I just really realized that like it wasn't, if you have an artist that's of your same genre, that's it's an investment. But at the same time, what I started realizing was that like around me, I had community. Like I didn't have money, I didn't have like worldwide fame, but where I was at, like people respected me. Artists wanted to work with me. People wanted to come out and see me perform. So I created this thing called Generation West, which was my own kind of situation that I could go rent a venue, or I could go, find a space even for free, right? And I could get some artists to work with me. And some of these artists that I was working with way back then, that there was only pay for play in art. It was Warren Brew, Hugh Augustine, Tate Tucker, like dudes that are like, signed to, Warren Brew, working with TD, doing things that I knew these were talented dudes. These were dudes that were my friends that I would invest in, and I could kind of set a standard of like, if you bringing people through, you bringing a lot of heads through, you might headline it. If you an upcoming artist and you just want to get on, I had so many artists that just wanted to be involved in it. So like, as I'm doing all these like pay for play shows and they, nothing really happening, we did this thing. It was like the Power 106 Who's Next, and it was like you put a song out and people vote for your song, and I started just like sending Facebook messages to everyone I know to just like, okay, go vote for my shit, go vote for my shit. Thinking, okay, like maybe I could get, in the top something. We ended up getting to the top of, everyone in LA that year. Came to do the show, and it was like a Louis King show. It was like literally like everyone in the audience was there for me. So then I realized like, like we selling out venues from getting a couple friends together, telling them to bring a couple friends through, charging way less, not charging the artist to pay to play, just saying, shoot, just bring people through and we'll see how it does. We built up a community where we were at. So then by the time that, the Power 106 thing happened, it was like, okay, well, we have a draw, and that draw is value. And even though we don't have big money, we have a draw. So why would I go to this place if I know I can guarantee 100, 150 per show, guaranteed, to 500 to 1,000, right? Guarantee. I don't care who on the ballot. I will only take this mathematic equation of what I should be making if I'm going to do a show, because other promoters around me started noticing that. So they started booking us and started saying, okay, it ain't that easy. It's easy when you have the right artist, but when you looking at the math to do it. So long story short, I said it to say that I had talked to this dude who was from the IE, and he had asked me the same thing. And he was like, I'm thinking about doing some pay-to-play shows, blah, blah. This is what I want to get into. And I said, okay, well, if you don't really got the money like that, and you can't even bring out, 50 tickets, you're not going to sell 50 tickets anyway. I would suggest maybe spending less money, maybe finding a place where you can rent out yourself, putting your own show on, right? And from there, you can create this community. And the dude told me, he said, oh, yeah, I'm from Riverside, man. There ain't no rappers. There ain't no, there ain't no community like that. And I said, look, bro, I personally have heard of artists, because I think we talked way back, and then, and I said, I think you need to do some research on your community. You taking the easy way out. He got mad at me. He said, nah, dog, you don't understand. Blah, blah, blah. I said,
me to work.
I said, hey, look, man, I'm not telling you this to offend you, bro. Like, I'm just keeping it real with you. Like, you need to look around your surroundings and utilize what you do have, because you got some, if you want to do this, you're going to have to find some kind of community, especially if you want to be like an artist and have some type of a draw. You're going to have to do that anyway. So you might as well start there. And then once you really feel like shit, I can sell out I could bring 100 people who will pay $15 to see me, and whoever, you know what I mean? That's a better investment anyway, because then you can actually make money from that stuff. Until then, it's a PR investment. You invest in have PR with someone, exposure, which you may not get. Most likely you're not going to be backstage with the artist. Most likely it's, so just do your research on whatever it is, and also just do your research on like what you have and utilize what you have in your community, because smaller communities sometimes even better. You know what I mean? Secondary markets.
I was going to say real quick, because I know you're crunching on time, that community can also be other openers. You know how many shows I went to, how many Kendrick shows had the same exact openers? Because they're the first ones that the promoters call to come open up for the show, because they know they can sell those tickets. Because the promoter's trying to get his money at the end of the day too, right? So it's not about just your talent. So what I started seeing artists do to kind of cheat the system, they started collaborating with other openers so that, okay, you gonna give me 15 minutes to sell 50 tickets? Cool. I'll collaborate with the next 2 openers. So now I gotta come back to the stage. More showtime for everybody. It works hand in hand. So that community can include other people who are openers. You're gonna see the same faces over and over again. Guess what? Not only are you combining your art with the other artists, you're combining fan bases. Oh man, you did a song. Hey, I like that song that you did with so-and-so. Now you're always constantly to the point where you may go on shows where maybe you couldn't sell tickets that one show, but now you're a part of the show opening up for somebody else because you collaborated and that song happens to be, really great music that works live. So that community can include them as well.
And let's define what pay to play is. What is pay to play? It's advertising. That's what it is. And here's a quick equation for when you want to decide if you want to advertise. It's when the cost per acquisition for that company is a lot lower than your cost per acquisition. If you have no idea how much money it costs to get a new person who does not know anything about you and convert them to a customer, then you already have it measured. Okay, that's the first thing you need to do is understand your cost per acquisition. How much does it cost to take somebody who does not know me and convert them to a paying customer? If that number, let's say it's $3, $10, let's make it even and easy. Let's say it costs me $10 to find a new customer who knows nothing about me and make them a customer. Whereas if I go through the iTunes system and do you were talking about a different scenario, going through like shows that are already created for you, instead of doing it the independent way, they'll take a 30% percentage, okay? But the question is, iTunes can get that customer at a lot cheaper rate than you can. So they can get the customer at $2, whereas you were spending 5 times as much, but you're only giving up 1/3 of your result. So you have to do the mathematics behind that and say, is that 30% going to gross me greater than what I can do on my own? I'd rather take 30% of a $10 million deal than 100% of $100,000. So you need to start thinking on these higher levels when you're trying to leverage, because this is how you scale. Yes, we're talking about the independent thing and doing it your own way in the grassroots way, but sometimes to gain traction, you have to leverage and use arbitrage and all these things for exponential growth. So again, rethink when you're trying to choose somebody else's system. Of course they're going to get paid. They created the awareness. They have the distribution. That's what makes you independent, is distribution. They have all the things that make a company. You're just trying to implant your product and get these huge results. But there's a cost to that. You know what I mean? And I'll let you continue.
No, you just said that one point that opened up a stat that I saw 2 months ago. if you're going to be opening up for an artist that has a younger demographic, specifically, I hate the term, but millennial demographic, you know that they did a study that said they only account for $150 a year of your income as an artist. That includes merchandise, that includes shows and music. So when you're trying to open up for somebody and you're like, I'm about to make this play with this merchandise, understand they have a $150 budget for all their favorite artists. Their favorite artists. And maybe a couple dollars for somebody they just saw do an amazing set and had an impact on them. You know, but cross your T's, dot your I's. Make sure you got one of those banners that go in front of the DJ stand that have all your social media, that has your make it work for you. Like, I know, like, you know the game, and I know what promoters will be like, it's a good opportunity, it's a good look. I'm like, bro, I ain't never cashed a good look at no bank. I know what this is. If I'm going to get pimped, like, by my own standards, I know what this is, okay? So that being said, I'm taking care of everything. I got my banner up there. Let them see my URL, because if I can just get followers that I can, convert once they decide, you know what? This is my call to action. I need to follow you. Cool. I'm following you. I'm here. I'm engaged. Yo, you killed it last night. Every single person that says you killed it, I need to make sure I got their follow, their email, some kind of contact, maybe even if you've tapped into the whole superphone situation. Now I got your text message. That's something else too. Oh my God, what is the name of this service? You should be developing your own phone app, Mob Creator. I think it's MOB Creator. It's a Brazilian-based company, but you can create your own app off of there, right? So it costs about $120 for your Apple designer, and then it costs about $25 for your Google Play designer, which you got to pay for these things. You can develop an app and then send people directly to everything that they need from you. This Mob App Creator, that's what it's called. Like, and it's literally $35 a month to have it. Okay, and you can design it. If you can design, I'll tell you this, if you can design your Twitter header and all that, you can design that to give you templates to work with. But the thing is, now to get a fan, to get somebody that's a buying fan, you're gonna have to be a little bit more intrusive within their life and be around all the time, because they're exposed to so many different things. The old marketing tool used to be, or the marketing rule used to be, you gotta see something 7 times before you make a decision. It's nowhere near that now. So if you're gonna make that work for you, you got to get in front of them, and then also too, make sure you're working that on every single angle. I mean, if you got to have people up on stage, your DJ wearing your logo, or even like those DJ panels that got behind laptops that light up now, that should be your logo right there. No questions about it. And your DJ should come knowing this is a job. Wear the gear. Provide them with the gear. Take care of them. Pay for the drinks, money, and all of that. But this is your uniform.
We're running short on time, but I wanted to go into Diego's thing. He was just mentioning the other day how, like, you have all these opportunities through friends. And it's like, why chase? Now, we're not just talking about money acquisition. Does it cost you $10 or $2 to get a customer? Sometimes you're not doing advertisement. But how much energy are you exerting to get a new customer? Diego was talking about situations where you were like, I'd rather talk to this person. I'm not going to put out names because I don't know who you're comfortable with sharing. But you're like, I'd rather talk to this person who knows them, and get that opportunity versus trying to chase everybody down, knocking on everybody's door myself, without that kind of intermediate, again, lowering that trust threshold. Just speak on that. I mean, I don't know names you want to drop or whatever, but like how you go about securing new business for yourself rather than trying to chase everybody down, finding new clients. Do you have like or is that too secret? You know what I mean? No, like, for example, we were at NAMM, and Diego's like, yo, you know him? And I'm like, nah. He's like, well, he knows him. That's how he thinks. Do you know this guy over here? Oh, he knows him. I'm not thinking on that level. And he's looking at it like, how can I leverage this relationship and lower my energy cost for getting to new business? So, I mean, maybe you haven't observed that yourself, but I've noticed that in your speech.
I've always had, one of my mentors is actually Steve LaBelle. This dude is a crazy manager. He's a beast, man. He knows everybody in LA. He knows everybody you need to know. So I've always seen how he moves, man. He's in any session, any situation he's in, he's gonna go around and say, "What do you do? What do you do? Oh, that? Okay. Well, I do this. Let's figure out a way we can make some money that way. Okay, you do that. All right, I got a producer I'm managing. I'm gonna plug you guys up. He's always figuring out situations, getting everybody's information, and just reaching out to them, following back with them next week. Oh, you know, I met you here. Let's link. Oh, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always reached out to people. That's I can't tell you how important it is to get people's informations and follow through with that stuff. I've made so much money, so many placements has come from just, you know what, I'm gonna go out today. I'm gonna go meet some people. If I would have stayed home and watched TV, I wouldn't have met this guy that led to that trickled to a placement. You know what I'm saying? So it's always, you gotta get everybody's, if at the end of the day, I'm gonna get everybody's number here. You think I'm not about to figure out something? Come on, bro.
I see.
It's how you move. You gotta move like that.
The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, because he's a connector. For anything to go viral, it needs to reach 3 people. And this can be on social media, anything you're doing. 3 people. One of them is a salesman, somebody who can sell the hell out of the thing. He can sell me the chair I'm sitting in. You need a connector, somebody who just knows everybody you ever meet somebody that just know everybody? Like, oh yeah, my sister does a hair of Snoop Dogg's last manager, and that's why I can get into. They just know everybody. The connector, and then you also got the maven who's a specialist. The maven is the old lady at the grocery store that's like, baby, don't buy the toothpaste from here because it's 20%, it's 20 cents less at Ralph's. Somebody who's a specialist in that area. When you meet these people, you start to realize that everybody sort of embodies one of these characteristics. Then you realize this is the way things go viral. That book talks about how penny loafers were looked at as like the shoe of the past until some hipsters who happened to be connectors. And then they went to some social, some I guess at that time would be like social media socialites, which were, the mavens who were like, we know fashion more than anybody else. And then the salesmen, the people who were like, yo, I rock these shoes and this is what cool is. That's how anything goes viral. That's how any you want to get those relationships, figure out who is who. Steve Lobel, I've known that name because of how powerful of a connector he is, and he's an amazing salesman with that too. But generally people take on one role, and once you understand who this person is, you can leverage that relationship to work into your advantage. But you got to know who's people's roles.
That mentality works in every kind of business too. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah,
He's not even a producer. I am. I take the same thing. I'm like, I'm about to find out what everybody does, and I promise you, what I'm gonna do with this connect, you can't do. So I know I'm gonna make some money out this. I don't know if you can, but I know I will. Let me get that number.
Your connects with the connects that you connected with last time.
Oh, come on,
Connect 4.
Yeah. Connect them up.
The reason we were, I mean to cut you off. The reason we were late for day 2 is because we took an impromptu meeting with somebody who's a massive connector. Shout out to Caroline from Hello Creative. I mean, and also she knows like everybody. I was like shocked. I didn't know she knew so many people. And we had a quick meeting and just got to know each other. But that's, you have to think on that level. It's Jay Abraham teaches this, one of my mentors, and we'll wrap it up after I say my piece, which is instead of utilizing other people's money, think of intangibles. We spoke about this in day 2, about your brand, intangible things, other people's relationships, other people's assets, other people's, what else is there? Other people's
Specialties.
Access, specialties, other people's talents. And how can you leverage that? Why did I bring these guys, here? It's because I don't want to sit here for 4 hours and drain myself, when we can all create massive value together. We're leveraging each other to create that power. What do you call it? The Mighty Morphing Power Ranger or whatever.
It's Morphin' time.
It's Morphin' time. Megatron, whatever it's called. We can create more value together than apart as far as this context of how to create value and generate it for you. So with that being said, we do have to grab food before, we run over time because we ran over time plenty times here. And I know they're kind of, they're not offended, but I don't want to be offensive. So we're going to grab something to eat, and then we're going to come back and do the feedback for our 3 VIPs that are in the building. Again, Panit, it was Sergio, and who else was VIP? Oh, yeah, and Black. There we go. So get your playlist ready, guys, and then we're all going to meet back in here. Did you have something else to say, Trizza?
I just wanted to, he had been trying to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My guy in the back. I just didn't want to forget him.
Chris,
so, I mean, if everybody want to go eat, I just want to make sure I took care of my guy.
I couldn't see you, Chris. That's why.
No, I appreciate it. I guess, since we're wrapping up, my big thing was, I definitely, it's great to hear inspiring stories coming through different lenses, different paths. I think that's what we're looking for, right? To bring it more to a reality of the human part of it. The thing that this sounds like is this is any industry, anything you're trying to do. If you're looking for mentorship, you're going to get these hard life hacks, right? And so it's good to know how important they are, right? And it's those cliche words. But my thing is, this is like check the box. Are you willing to do this, right? And I think a lot of people overlook that. So let's say people are serious, New Year's resolution, time to really change. What goals can they set? Like if you guys had to do this over and start where we're starting from nothing, right? And knowing everything you know about the times, what things would you do? And what strategies what goals would you set, right? Like we're gonna work hard, we're gonna do this. It's kind of like you're saying, I wanna get 100 plays, 1,000 plays, I wanna get a Grammy, I wanna make all these beats. We're gonna work hard and we're gonna do those things, but we're not gonna set the right outcomes, right? So what's like the first set of outcomes that make sense nowadays,
I mean, deep question. He's an educated, thoughtful man, I must say.
Good question. I would say add value. You don't know how many times people be like, yo, I'm a producer. I want to help you make beats. Bro, this is one of my best friends. This is one of my best. I don't need no more help making beats. You get what I'm saying? But I can, if you help with something else, like, for example, Sound Oracle's logo. Guess who made it? I did. His logo. Guess who made it? I did. It's another trick that I knew, and it's a value that I could add. You get what I'm saying? So if you're starting over or you don't have the connections, find something you can add, but don't add the obvious thing. You know what I'm saying? If they're a producer, they probably don't need beats, bro. You know what I'm saying? But they might need video editing. They might need engineering. They might need something else that you could do. So if I was just starting completely over, I would ask them, yo, what do you need, bro?
Real quick, just to add on to that. Do you know why I work with Timbaland and Polo the Don? It's because I don't offer them beats. They have beats. I offer what helps them make beats faster. What helps them make beats better, make more beats. I didn't go to them, hey man, I'm a producer. I saw producers they had working with them. That's not the lane I wanted to be in. You know what I mean? So definitely add value, man.
Add value and don't be a nuisance. There's so many times that I got invited to studio sessions that I had no business being in if it just was about skill level. There's super talented producers who deserve to be in a place that I was in, right? But the reason why I kept getting invited back was the energy that I brought in there. And sometimes I think we go in there with so many reservations, or we go in there with so much aggression, like I'm not going to be the next producer to get done dirty. And we just have this nasty aggression on us, and they can smell that energy off of us, and then you don't get invited back to the room. Then you start to go into your own personal database and say, damn, is it my beats? Is it me? Did I do something wrong? I think that, if I had this to do over again, I would be a lot more focused with my time. And I'd be a lot more focused with my intention, be a lot more clear with my intentions. I think sometimes we go in with good intentions, but they don't line up with what the other person has in mind and what their goal is. I would listen more. And from there, every step of the way, this would be such a more fluid process simply because I knew what the hell I wanted. And many times I was going in like, I can't believe I'm working with this person, but I'm kind of broke, but I can't believe I'm working with this person. And then at the end of the day, I walk out with no money, and this person is like, we worked, okay? And I'm going to work with the next person. So be very clear about what you want before you get into this. Know to the best of your ability. Obviously, who you are today is going to change in 6 months, right? So I can't tell you know who you are before you get into this, but be confident within the things that you have set out as your goals, because somebody is just going to find a way to finesse that, that insecurity. They're going to find, it's almost like that one YouTuber on one YouTube commenter that's like, dang, how you even know I was insecure about that? And you found that one thing that now I'm responding, I'm typing, I'm Twitter fingers and all that. But like, know who you are as best as you can. Be clear about the goals you want. Say them out loud. Don't share your goals always with people who you don't have your best intentions. Because so many times I've allowed people that I thought loved me, and maybe they love me in their own way or whatnot, but I allowed them to shape everything that I was doing because I was like, this person should have my best intentions, when all they have is their own lens. So sometimes, the real work of what we do happens when nobody else is watching us. When you're trying to if you have a goal to lose weight this year, it's not going to happen when everybody's rooting you on Twitter and Instagram. It's at 2 a.m. It's at 10 p.m. when you get off of work. It's when you could be, eating a pizza right now, but instead you say, you know what? I don't care. It ain't about the social media. It ain't about nothing else except for getting this work done. The nights where it's you in a nightlight and it's just you grinding. You in FL Studio struggling. That's it. That's what it's about. Those moments is what define everything. And I would stop focusing on the shiny things. One brilliant thing, and I'll leave you with this. One of the most brilliant things one of my managers told me was that so many times in our life is like a 5-layer dip. Okay, you know what comes in a 5-layer dip? At the top of it is like the sour cream, and then you got like the olives, and then you got all the cheese and stuff that tastes good. But the beans is the foundation. Most of us will settle for the top. We'll settle for a little sour cream because of the taste of it. In your life, you got to get to that bean. You got to get to the very last of that, and you deserve that. But until you believe that you deserve that, you'll fall for anything. You'll fall short. You'll get less. You'll ask for less. You know what I mean? Like there's been situations where I could have been in your same situation. I'm like, man, I know what this beat is worth to me, but I know what I need. I don't want to ruin this. $100, thinking I'm being a master negotiator. They like, there you go. So, you know, just to the best of your ability, be as clear as you want about your approach. I'm telling you, life will open up every single door once you get that clarity. You know, not to go too personal, but my lady who I'm deeply in love with, I had to change who I was to attract who she is. Who do you have to become to be the success that you want to be? Because you're going to change. When you're looking out upon 30, 40 employees of your company, they're going to be like, damn, how did you do it? You got to have that foresight to say, what am I going to say to them in that moment? Damn, I had to take a chance on me. And I kept going because what else am I supposed to do?
Just to add to that too, it's like pretty much the same thing, but it's emotional health. Invest in your emotional health. Invest in your emotional management. Because if you can't manage your emotions, how you think you're going to manage your career? It's like this dude, Curtis Carroll, I work with him in San Quentin. He's a millionaire from stocks in San Quentin, you know, 55 to life from 21, taught himself to read. You know, when you can't balance your emotions, you lose money. You know what I'm saying? And for me, one thing like that I would have changed is like when I got kicked out of school. So I felt like shit. You know what I mean? I'm going to the NFL when I'm gonna be a music superstar. And you know, when I got kicked out of school at the last moment, I felt like, all right, well, I just gotta be hyperdrive on doing music. Like every day, everything, blah, 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 do my own videos, do blah, blah, just go. And I worked for so long before realizing like I gotta work on healing me first, because I'm not going to get to where you walking around with an energy. It's like you need to focus on your emotional health and emotional management, because that is the way where you can walk around. That's your worst energy. You know, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You get pissed off because someone stepped on your foot. You know, someone didn't call you back. Someone didn't do this. Little things, you know, so that's what I just challenge y'all to like understand, you know, your health, what you put in your body, what you eating. You know, we was sharing Taco Bell and this and that and all. Like, hey, that shit is not you putting in cheap shit to your, you know what I'm saying, to your body, man. Like that shit's not gonna help you think. You're not gonna make money faster because you taking a shortcut. You know what I mean? Invest in your emotional health, your physical health, and it will help you to succeed. So where you can go around and make moves with the right energy to where you can actually get shit done and people want to work with you. Because you could be a great producer, great artist, great whatever, but you walking around with just a shitty aura around you or energy, people ain't gonna fuck with you.
No, I mean, it's hard to say what would I have changed, because to be honest with you, like I've been through a lot. I don't even want to speak of, because if I have to go back and know what I would have been through now, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest with you. That's how bad it was. But this is where life took me, so I wouldn't change anything, because everything happened in a sequential way where I ended up here. So you're yeah.
No, I didn't. Oh yeah. Drop the mic on. Oh yeah, facts. What I would change is I wish I knew earlier about the power of collaboration and the power of networking and the power of having a team of like-minded people all working towards the same goal, or even having a team of people that are working towards my goal. I wish I would have known about that 10 years prior. That's my one thing.
Awesome. And
Drops mic.
Drops mic. I'd say, do you have a question? Oh, I'd say that there's 3 types of businesses. Curtis talked about this before, the layers. There's 3 types of business. Everybody's going for that top layer. There's the cash flow business, which is creating that lifestyle. This is, getting that monthly income. It's consistent, but it's you're gonna hit a plateau. Okay, so it might be consistent, but it's not gonna grow massively. That's the first style business. It's a cash flow business. The second style business is a business which requires heavy investment, high return. So it's high risk, high return. So you take the money from your cash flow business, you invest the surplus into, a new idea, something that has a huge return. Think about your business. There's caps to it. I forget kind of the context now because I lost translation, but you can only do but so much by yourself, for one. Now, scaling up requires people costs. Okay, so if you want these huge results, okay, let's put it this way. You're working by yourself, great, you make $1 million a year. You're capping out $2 million a year. Great, that's it. There's no higher point than that. So now you have to grow a team. You grow a team, you invest that $1 million into your team. I'm just saying $1 million, that's a lot of money. But you invest that into your team or idea, now you're hitting 10 million, 20 million a year based on that team you just invested in. Now, once you have that 20 million a year, I know we're speaking astronomical numbers. There's some people who can't even get 5,000 a month from their work. So I understand this sounds crazy, okay, but it's not once you understand it. Okay, the 20 million a year, 50 million a year company, now what they're trying to do is save money. So there's 3 levels to money. You get it, you keep it, and then you grow it. So you're getting money in the cash flow business. You keep money by investing it to grow it higher up, but it's still money making money, okay? Now, the third step is how do you, what did I say? No, that's how you keep it. Also, it's tax and accounting and all these other things, but then how do you grow it? And what you grow is when you buy franchises, Trizza talked about. You grow it by buying safe things like real estate, things that are gonna appreciate over time, but at a very low percentage rate. So it's not like a high return. It's just a low return just to make sure you're fighting against inflation. So that's, what I would suggest people start thinking about is, yeah, you can do great on your own. Where are you going to go from there? And I think getting to that second step is what really makes an entrepreneur. So we got to eat, and we literally have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get this done. So we got to eat, and we have to, I want to grab people. If we've changed your life in any way, please, Kevin or someone, Jay, get into the other room. We want to get you on camera and share your experience so you can tell people around the world how you were impacted to understand the value we create. Okay, because they're not going to listen to us. They understand you and what you have to say. So I want to wrap it up and say that, I have a panel of experts. I'm not even going to call it a panel. Just crazy wisdom up here today. I want to thank all my friends for joining me. I'll let you do your shout outs, but again, it's BusyWorks Beats at the Music Producer Mastermind meeting here in Anaheim, 2018. So I'll let you do your shout outs and your handles, whatever you want to blast to the world right now. Fellas.
I'll just say, just follow me on IG, Diego Ave, DIEGOAVE. DM me some music, send me some stuff. I want to hear some stuff you guys are working on too. I'm always open to hear some new stuff.
Trizza on Instagram, and then go to theproducerkid.com. Work with this man. We make samples, loops, royalty free. Check them out.
Yeah, we like that. Hey. We like that. Best place to follow me is on Instagram, but really I'm on any social platform. I'm Sound Oracle on everything. You could check more about me on soundoracle.net and also on Unquantized Podcast.
Hey.
Live on Instagram every Friday at 4 p.m. Streaming live on where? At Sound Oracle.
Hey.
Curtis King. I'm about to say Curtis King Beats. I say it so often. Oh my God. CurtisKingBeats.com is the hub for everything from how to build your own music producer website to, 2 S's, please 2 S's, because the other dude would probably try to sue me. It's an amazing jazz band, but it's not me. So yeah, Curtis King with 2 S's, and I have a book. I was this on the side here, The Prosperous Producer, 2-year process, in which I tell you a lot of those stories that these brothers right here are more heroes to me than a lot of the dudes I looked up to when I was kids, because they tell you the ugly truths about the stories and what happens. That does you more service than anything else. And so what I did in that book is that I tried to share stories where everything, when you ever see like one of your favorite producers talk about their journey, and they're like, yeah, it was hard for a second, but then I met so-and-so and everything was good. And it was like, come on, fam. Like, you wanted to quit just like I wanted to quit at one point in time. So I tell those stories. I tell you the lowest points, some of the highlights. When I first met Ab-Soul and how I got into the studio sessions and recorded Schoolboy Q. And, I don't talk about the famous story of my gunshot beat, which Punch from TDE said was the worst beat he ever heard in his life. being the beat that got Schoolboy Q signed, but that's another story to be. It was the most worst beat I ever did. But CurtisKingBeats.com, at Curtis King 2 S's. If you have any questions, even about the book, just hit me up and talk to me. Curtis King TV on YouTube. That's probably the most important to me. I have just a endless database of industry stories and information that I try to share and be of value to the producer and rapper community.
Louis King, get me on Instagram, LOUIIKING. It's Louis King on everything. Check out The Beautiful Grind on anything y'all got. Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. And yeah, that's new joint every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if y'all like want to go to a workshop in LA, we do weekly workshops. It's called aimfortheheart.org. So we do work with different artists, different levels, bringing in guests. Definitely want to connect with some of y'all and get y'all. We do it in San Quentin. We do it Tuesday nights in Long Beach, Crenshaw on Monday nights, and San Quentin Thursday. So that's aimfortheheart.org. And like I said, I'm Louis King. Spotify, all the music stuff, LOUISKING, and my IG, LOUIIKING.
So thanks for watching today. It's BusyWorksBeats.com.
Oh, and shout out to Busy Works, man.
Shout out to Busy Works.
Yeah, thank you, Busy. Thank you for having us, bro.